pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Supervisor Locke with the invocation.
We come to you tonight asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussions, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of our communities. Amen.
Amen. Supervisor Roble.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for the approval of this evening's amended agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this amended agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Is there anybody, first of all, I'll let you talk for 3 minutes. And you can keep your signs down. We don't allow signs being held up. I see numerous signs being carried in, so if you would please keep your signs down. But you have 3 minutes each to talk, whoever wants to talk. So you'd have to come up to the microphone back there and state your name, address, and to the clerk. And
Mary's got a sign-in sheet. Mary Krieger has a sign-in sheet.
oh, then they have a sign-in sheet for the ones that are talking. And the time limit is 3 minutes. Okay, you can talk in the back on the.
My name is Patricia Diener. I live at 1316 Broad. I come to you this evening in regard to Life Fest. I hope that you all work it out that we could have both things and not just one.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Hamill. I'm an attorney that represents Impact Motorsports, Inc., the current operators, former operators of the racetrack. Speaking once again on the resolution regarding Life Fest and the Grandstand Complex Expo Center. We've looked at some of the revenue numbers that were put up, and we want to speak a little bit about what we think the racetrack revenue versus Life Fest revenue would be. We looked at the racetrack and an offer that was made as far as a rental agreement for 10 years. Income on that would be $268,000 roughly. The income that we've seen from the reports that the county's put together show $285,000, but the taxpayers are paying $180,000 for improvements to that property. That number could be more, in my understanding, and could even decrease this amount less. But either way, Life Fest would be paying $104,000 compared to $268,000 for the racetrack. So those numbers, I think, need to be looked at. I know numbers are put together to convince people of things, and I'm not sure those are all correct. People have also heard some things about whether rent's been paid and how much has been paid. We looked at the breakdown that the supervisors were giving, and it showed $31,000 being paid from 2007 to 2015 by the racetrack. Our calculations and the rent receipts that we show over $50,000, a difference of $19,000. I don't know where those $19,000 are, but it may be worth looking into to see how that's calculated. So, with respect to the improvements, the $180,000 that the county is going to pay, in some of the documents I've seen, and I've tried to find documents that show actual maps, show retention ponds, anything like that that would be needed out there. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. I'm not seeing a whole lot about what the drainage would be and whether any abatement would be necessary. So, I think that number is really kind of an unknown at this point, and at this time I think it should be looked into more. We're also worried about the power that's out there and power that have to be added for the stage and the redone stands. I looked a little bit at the lease, proposed lease with Life Fest, and their wish to build and wish to put more money into this stage. There's nothing in there that I saw that requires them to do that. There's no penalty if they don't do that. So, all of this consideration might need to be looked at further and see whether, if it was meant to be guaranteed that they build that would be put in there. I don't see it in there. So, and we all know about cost overruns and the things that might occur with respect to a project that big. You're becoming a competitor. You're going to try to rent this, and there's shown income.
I think that I will let you talk a little longer because I believe that you're going to be representing most of these people and they won't be talking, so.
I appreciate that.
You'll be using a little bit of their time, so otherwise, go ahead.
I appreciate that. There was a revenue stream that said $75,000 of other concerts that could be had at this stage. We already have the Leach, we have the Country USA grounds, the new Bucks Arena wants to rent to people to have concerts. It's a tough market. Alpine Valley down by Milwaukee has no concerts this year. You need marketing, you need a group and people that you're gonna have to pay to try to get promotion in here and to get events in here. So you'll be entering the event business and you already have 2 events out here, at least you did, and I think that's a better option. Track attendance, you received the sheet. We had over 50,000 people there last year. 20 different events, some were rained out, but events from April through September, so a year-round use, spring to fall use of this instead of a one-time Life Fest event. So that's, the option, obviously, that we would like would be to continue both. I think it's fiscally the right thing to do, but also keeps this thing in use instead of one guaranteed use over this time period. So it's the local quality of this racetrack. I heard in the invocation, nurturing bonds in our communities. This racetrack has families for 2 decades now that have been out there racing. Kids go out there. They had 400 kids in their kids club last year. So this is a nurturing thing for the local community. Most of the people going there are Winnebago County residents. Life Fest is more of a regional event. People coming in, there's an impact to the community, but it's not as local as this event. And I think this place was built for a local event like this, and it was built to be used like this, and I think it needs to continue. If it doesn't, continue, it's a unique facility. Building another racetrack, I don't think is an option. The costs associated with what would be involved there would probably be prohibitive, and a racetrack in Winnebago County would be gone, probably forever. So I think this racetrack was put here to be used by the community, and it's unique, and it wasn't meant to be a cash cow. I know there's concerns about how much money is being made, and we're not privy to a lot of the numbers, but we know what's paid by our people every year, including utilities of over $70,000 over that time period. So 2 tenants are better than one. I don't think there's any reason to end this. I think there needs to be a look further research into other options. What else could be done? Could more property be bought? Could this be moved around a bit? Because if this doesn't happen, this racetrack's gone forever, and a lot of these families and these people that go there on all these Friday nights and enjoy it are not going to be able to do that anymore.
Okay.
And I'll be around if anybody has any
Okay.
questions later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, where's your new chair? I'm just kidding. All right, hi. Let me introduce myself. My name is John Damel. I live at 455 Zarling Avenue in Oshkosh. I'm the chairman-elect of the Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. I also sit on their executive, government affairs, economic development committees. I also sit on the Go EDC board as well. And I probably have the smallest salary of all those who serve with me. These facts most likely allow me to understand budgets, planning, and making tough decisions as good as any. I've asked counsel from other members of the other boards and committees I serve on, was told to, quote, get out of the way, that the county board would never change, and that I was wasting my time. This troubled me a lot. I don't believe any of it. I don't think any of that's true. If I thought it was true, I'd quit. Why would I dedicate the time that I barely have if I can't affect change? Point being, I don't think we are incapable of change, nor do I believe I'm wasting my time right now. And as you can clearly see, I did not get out of the way. I've been asked why I'm so vocal on these boards and committees. The answer is simple. I wear white socks. You may not understand the significance of that. Let me explain. There are a lot more people out there wearing white socks than not. We are barely represented on the boards and committees that I serve on. Let's break down the numbers, as it seems to be the universal language of all boards such as yourself. Let's talk median income. I like to look at median because I find it to be the truest view of the economic position of our county. Median income of Winnebago County, $52,000 per household. Oshkosh.
Okay, I have to cut you off. I wear white socks too.
Thank you. Appreciate that. A man of my
But
taste.
thank you.
All right.
That's-
Oshkosh, $44,689. 54901, even less at $39,919. Another fun fact, 46% of all NASCAR fans make less than $50,000 a year per household.
We've heard all that information, and I have to stop you because there's a lot of people that want to talk right now, and we
All
have a
right.
full agenda. Thank you.
I got 46,
No,
yep.
No, you don't. You were already on your third one.
No,
Okay,
yep. Can I keep going, or?
go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll skip that. We're pretty much the underdog, and I get that. I understand that we're not as attractive as Life Fest. We're not going to be on the cover of any GQ magazine anytime soon. But we're just as important. I want to point out that my intentions tonight are not to knock on Life Fest. I think it's a great organization, and it's a great event. Nor is it to defend the promoters of the racetrack. I like to believe that they would be willing to sacrifice themselves to save the track. I guess I just want to say that I respect Mr. Harris, as sure many of you do. I just want to remind you that Mr. Harris, his job is to bring recommendations for your consideration. He doesn't tell you what to do. It's precisely the other way around. Mr. Harris must respect the decisions you make as a board. He must follow your directions in regards to our county. Mr. Harris would not be responsible for the demolition of the racetrack. You would. I might also remind you that it's your job to listen to us, the people, who are speaking. I'm not one of those guys with a sign in the yard that vilifies Mark and vilifies Life Fest, because that's not the problem. The problem is finding a solution, a compromise that we can all work together. It's out there. It's hard work. It's going to take some real creative thinking, but the solution exists.
Okay,
the
thank
solution
you.
is there. All right, thank you.
Anybody else like to speak on it? Anything on the agenda this evening? State your name and address, please.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm Pat Owen. I live at 159 West 18th. I'm retired after 32 years working at the county. That's it. I don't go to races. I don't go to Life Fest. And I will not go to the basketball arena that is just 3 blocks from my home. But I am for the community. There is a large amount of people that enjoy the races, and I think it should continue. We bring in enough money from U.S. America tonight, or the country show. We have EAA. We do so much for people outside of our community. The races are for the people in the community. That's why I'm here, shaken, nervous as can be, because I don't talk in public. And I just think it would be a shame if you voted against your own people. You should let the races go on. Thank you.
You did a good job for not being able to talk. But all those things you mentioned, Winnebago County started every one of those venues. The Winnebago County Board brought every one of those venues to this county. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board? Okay, state your name and address.
Evelyn Christensen, 1256 Willow Bend Lane. Before you spend all the money to get the racetrack area ready for a permanent stage, what about buying land around the track and letting them put their stage there? Because what if they grow? Then we can have both. The fairgrounds are for family fun. The fair has always had races tractor pulls, and the exciting demolition derby. That's a good part of the fair. Our city and county wants this to be an event area. That's what they've been toting, event city. So why are we getting rid of an event? We should be adding events. So what next? What if we get rid of the track and Life Fest grows? Do we get rid of the BMX track that the little kids use, or the go-kart track? Or what about the fair? Without all the track to do all the different events, we gonna get rid of that? Because everything is for our youth. What about the horse shows? There used to be a lot more horse shows over the past years, and that's been going down. We are Christians and we have to share. They have been sharing the fairgrounds for a number of years, so why can't they keep it up? So please, when you vote, keep our families and our youth in your mind and in your hearts. It doesn't matter if you, the county board and the Parks Department, doesn't like racing. It's for the people you represent that likes racing. Same with the music. They deserve to have their own area for the people who love music, even if you do or not. Because everybody needs to have what they love. So just keep that in mind when you vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
My name is Cal Potratz. I live at 2219 North Main Street.
you have to talk closer to the mic.
My name is Cal Potratz. I live at 2219 North Main Street here in Oshkosh. I run the automotive supply store on the south side of town. All these events that come to Oshkosh, and you can pick any one of the thing from the EAA to Country USA to Rock USA to Life Fest to the local racetrack. I keep track of what people spend when they come. Whether it's a garage calling that the guy's motorhome broke down at one of the events or whatever it is, that economic impact for me is about $100,000 in expenses that those people spend in our store. Racetrack guys, I keep track of on a separate deal. The racetrack guys spend in real money about $35,000 a year in my store. That's money that I get that allows me to pay taxes and all that stuff. They're all good events. They all belong having their share. Whether we make money on the event that's there or the facility that we rent out is relatively inconsequential. These are facilities for the betterment of the community. They are not something that's a cash cow that we got to get as much as we can out of, because the money comes back indirectly to all of us one way or another. So I'd really like you to support both Life Fest and the racetrack if there's any way possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sue Lloyd, 1729 Delaware, Oshkosh. I preface my comments by saying I've been to Life Fest. I believe those that go to Life Fest are people that want more of God in their lives. Bottom line is they want to reach souls for Christ. The racing community has coexisted with Life Fest, and I believe they still can do that. Many of you have known racing in this community as far back as you can remember. Your father, like mine, took us there. Me, over 50 years, some of you maybe more. Giving up our history has hit a nerve in this community like I haven't seen in my adult life. 1,500 people from this community involved for over 20 weeks a year represent up to 30 times that amount in family and friends that believe the track should not go away. These people are the very people that voted you in and believe that you have their best interest. I spoke last year to to this very body and not sure speaking will have any effect on your vote tonight. I do pray that some of you came with an open mind and will do what's best for all of us. But for sure, for the people that have entrusted you to be in the very seat that you sit in tonight. And to the Life Fest leaders, 1,500 souls are way more important to God than a stage that will drive a wedge deep in this community. Didn't expect this. In closing, I implore the board members to find it in your gut to make both work for my community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening?
I've been brought up in racing all my life, and I got a young man back here that Jeff at Oshkosh gave the opportunity at 10 years old because he got sick of go-karting, and he's been racing go-karts since he was 4 years old. He went out there and ran 4 cylinders, and it's not just the older generation that is racing anymore, the young kids that are at Oshkosh. There's many 12, 14-year-olds, all the way up to 77 years old that are out there enjoying racing. I had an 85-year-old lady that sat in front of me last week. I had more fun with her at the IRA races, and she's been going out there since the track was downtown. And just, I don't have nothing against Lifest. My kids go to a parochial school. I just don't understand why we can't all join together and keep it going and share the grounds and enjoy the way it's going now. Don't take it away from these young people that are growing up and loving the sport. And that's all I got to say.
Give us your address, please.
Neenah, Wisconsin, 1127 Green Acres. Live by the high school. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda?
Hi, my name is Michael Ambrosius. I'm from Outagamie County, Kaukauna. Come to Oshkosh nearly every Friday. And I just want to mention, kind of on this other gentleman's point, there are 389 kids in the kids club. How much money do we spend on education? And why do we spend that money? Because it is an investment in the future. Well, there is no better investment in the future than them 389 kids. And mind you, that's just the younger ones. The teenagers are too cool to be in the kids club. But the teenagers, and there's probably more than 389 of them, are with their dads and their moms. And not only are they learning this hands-on experience, and mind you, I've came up in a very similar setting. It's had a huge effect on my life. I wouldn't be who I am today without that impact. These kids learn not only the hands-on experience, but they learn competition, and they learn if they want something, how to work for it. They're right there with their families. They're getting the proper American upbringing. They learn what's right and wrong. When they're doing that, they're not playing video games. Okay? They're not doing drugs. They're not doing any of these bad things. They are becoming Americans. When they're older, they may be on this board. Now, we spend a lot of money on educating our kids. There could be 1,000 kids that will be, basically their lives, their entire course of their lives will be changed off of this decision. That's just one point. My other point I'd like to make is, if that racetrack is taken down, the position of Life Vest, they're going to have a lot more leverage. Okay? Right now, they may say this or that, or we're going to contribute this. Well, once that track is gone, they will have an extreme amount of leverage, and the taxpayer may be stuck with the bill. Okay, the racetrack is consistent. It's stable. Stability is important. In our own personal life, stability matters. You know, if you're stable, even if you don't make a lot of money, as long as you're stable, you get by. All right? When you take unnecessary risks, that's when bad stuff happens. Okay? Now think of the kids, think of the stability. This is a very important decision. It may, you know, there might be bigger budget decisions, but this decision will affect people's lives, the entire course of their lives. Think about the citizens that you want to produce. This decision matters.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda?
Diener at 1316 Broad Street, and I'm here I oppose having the permanent stage for Life Fest, as we could have both events, the Life Fest and the racetrack, instead of taking out one just to better Life Fest. If we have 400 kids in my kids club that we run, those children are missing out on an experience that they shouldn't have to when we can have both events. We do shut down the racetrack on the week of the Life Fest so that they can have the whole grounds. So I don't see what the problem is that we can't have both events.
Thank you. Okay, start over.
My name is Jeff Volkman. I live at 4235 Sand Pit Road. And I attend both. I go to the races and I do go to Life Fest, and both are very good events. But about 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump and Scott Walker were down at Mercury Marine, along with Oshkosh Truck Corporation. And the problem they're having is hired skilled workers. And what you've got here, these guys that race these cars are very skilled. They have the skills that are required. And basically, you're taking that away from them, the opportunity to show those skills. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
It's Chris Jacoby. I reside at 808 Bayshore Drive in Oshkosh. I've been to Life Fest 4 times. Over the course of the last 10 years, I've been to the racetrack hundreds of times. I know a few people sitting in this room because of that. And to me, this is all about choices. We have 2 choices. We can keep the racetrack or not keep the racetrack. And if we don't keep the racetrack, we eliminate a choice for all of Winnebago County, for a lot of people in our surrounding areas. We eliminate a choice for my children, for the 389 children in the kids club, my children being members of it. And we just, if we eliminate one choice every single Friday, it leaves us no choice.
Thank you.
Margaret Shows, 1303 Monroe Street here in Oshkosh. Sorry I have to read this. I bring a different outlook about our awesome racetrack in Winnebago County. I just want to touch on a Wisconsin racer who made racing his career. He started out, as most do, in karts. And we have an awesome kids kart club here, right next door to the racetrack. He graduated to stock cars and raced at the dirt tracks in Hales Corners and Cedarburg, both in Wisconsin. He moved quickly into the late models at the same tracks. The season of that move, he won his first feature race at where else? Leo's Speedway in Oshkosh. He moved on to asphalt racing and eventually into the NASCAR circuit. He had a great career in racing, all starting at the local Wisconsin dirt tracks. He had an early death due to a plane crash. His name was Alan Kowicki. If you look his history up on Wikipedia, you will see Oshkosh mentioned in his racing career, in his early racing career. I just want to put out there that we have an awesome racetrack here. A great starting point, as some of these people have said, for the kids who are in the kart club, if they so choose to make this a career or to move on into bigger and better experiences, they're getting the knowledge and the experience to go from that dirt track to who knows where. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mark Plummer, 1917 Olive Street, Oshkosh. I just want to take us down a walk through memory lane. As we all know, in 1978, Leo's Speedways closed down. As a young kid back then, I got to watch my dad in the middle of the track with Oshkosh Amblers, and I was so proud. Well, after the racetrack closed down in 1978, 20 years later, Jeff and Larry put together the racetrack. And I can remember the group of people like what's sitting behind me right now. And it's emotional for me because I've invested a lot in this track over the years. That we marched down Algoma and we came here to this very board. I don't know how many of you are still on it, probably not a whole lot, but there's some new faces. You know, and we came to you and we begged you, we want this track and we're going to work hard. And they did. We sat out there in 80-degree weather prepping this track to make it the best we possibly could. That first year we struggled, but we kept on. We said we're going to give you a track, we gave you a track, and we're going to work at it. As the years went on, Rock USA came in. We didn't coexist with them. The racetrack accepted them with open arms and said, you know what, we'll do whatever we need to do to make you famous and to make you better. We close our week, let you guys have your Rock Fest. They bailed. The racetrack didn't. They say coexist with Life Fest. I don't go to Life Fest. I don't care a thing about Life Fest. Do what you got to do. We didn't coexist. We accepted you just like we did Country USA with open arms, gave you the week to enjoy yourself, and little brother kicked us in the butt, and now is kicking us out. I worked at the Department of Correction for 33 years. 20 years was spent at the racetrack as a track official. I was one of the very first track officials here in Oshkosh. Now, after I retired, I gave up the racetrack a couple years. It didn't stop going, though. Now I get to go watch my nephew, my brother's son, who also worked at the racetrack with me, who currently is in first in the four-cylinder, let me tell you. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, everybody here, somebody's got to be on the fence. You can't have not walked in here. I read what's in the paper. I'm not stupid. I'm not blaming this on Life Fest. I'm blaming it on you people. You cannot, how many people, I probably ain't going to answer it, but are saying you're really on the fence? Because what this really boils down to, there's some board members that just don't like Larry or Jeff. So they're going to fight tooth and nail to get rid of it. I don't want to see this track go. Number one, I fought too hard to get it here or get it back here. We lose this. We lose so much in Oshkosh's history. Think of history, folks. So if you're truly on the fence, don't let the guy that's got the bug up his butt about Larry and Jeff talk you into making a decision. Don't hand me finance, because you know what? I don't care what your numbers are. You fudge them just like everybody else. You're
Okay,
going to say
your
things
time
to
is
me to
up.
make me
I'm
happy.
sorry.
I understand. You're going to say things to make me happy. We're going to investigate to tell you you're wrong. Please do the right thing. Please do the right thing. If you got to think about getting rid of it, then you know you made the wrong decision. Thank you for your time.
Hi there, my name is Cody Booth. I live at 1941 Doty Street. I moved to Oshkosh in 2007. I moved up here from Georgia due to some family difficulties, but shortly after that next fall or spring, I discovered the racetrack, and I told myself, I don't care what I have to do, but I'm going to be a part of this racetrack. I've been racing there for the last 5 years, and I've met some of the greatest people that you could ever do, and I just want to say that I hope that you guys really believe in the community and the bond that we have at the racetrack and care more about the local people than just tourists coming in for money. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Ron Pollak, 808 West 10th Ave, Oshkosh. Like everyone else here, I grew up with the racetrack in the city too, and I remember when it finally got moved. We were promised that when that land got sold, we were going to get the same kind of property in return. What happened was the city and the county of Oshkosh took that property and did what they would with it and didn't give us anything until we decided to fight for it. All of us here tonight, we're all here to tell you what we think, tell you how we feel, and we're here to fight. We'd like you on our side. We wouldn't like you against us. We think that some of you support us and some of you don't. So I've prepared a short statement and I'm going to read it. I'm here tonight to tell the county board that as a taxpayer of this county, I don't approve nor support the proposal to tear out the racetrack to build and fund a permanent stage, gravel a huge area for camping, and remove the work that's been done by others to invest in that fairgrounds over the past 20 years, all at our expense once again. I do not and cannot support the county board spending tax dollars for Life Fest, then giving it away for $1 a year for 2 years, with a negotiation to take place after that for the future rents, which will be what the last proposal said that they were going to negotiate the rents after 2 years at $1 a year. That's pathetic. All of this is especially hard to swallow when the first proposal that Mark Harris brought out stated that Life Fest had guaranteed verbally that they would pay $100,000 per year for 1 week of event. And that's how we got where we are tonight. This whole proposal is one lie after another, and it looks to be a witch hunt to destroy the livelihood of others while at the same time not producing any tangible results that benefit the community. The community already has not one, but 2 purpose-built Music Fest areas, and we do not need another. More effort should be put into making Life Fest viable for many years to come by getting them moved to Ford Festival Park, where the infrastructure, facilities, traffic patterns, parking, and camping already exist. In this way, further waste of our tax dollars won't happen, and that makes more sense than anything else. The proposal should be voted down and replaced by something that sees the Life Fest organization, the Speedway, and the Speed Zone Raceway and the Speed Zone Raceway both exist in harmony for the better of the county and its taxpayers. The county should become more involved in helping promote events rather than destroying them. I am asking as well that the county stop the senseless waste of our tax dollars and do more to help the fairgrounds and the speed zone succeed. After all, you work for us, and this facility is ours. You serve us, we don't serve you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Matthew Strublik. I'm at 606 West School Street. I'm curious. This is a county facility. Why are we spending all of this time debating Life Fest, which the majority of the people in here aren't even going to go to? The racetrack is something that's there. It brings in money. It pays rent. It's reliable. People in the county want it. And my question is, if Life Fest is so great and so wonderful and is going to bring so many great things to this community, where are they? Where are they? Why aren't they telling us about all of the wonderful things that are going to happen when they come here? I haven't heard anything from them. So just keep that in mind. I don't think that they have anything. Why would promoters want to book concerts here in Oshkosh when they have so many options already? I'm not going to go out there to see a concert. I'll go to someplace down here, or the new Bucks thing, or Rock USA. But I'm not going to go driving out there for something, and nobody else is either. It's a waste of money. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Maggie Crossman. I live at 889 Butler Avenue in Winnebago. I had gone to the races for a long time, even when they were in Oshkosh. My husband used to drive demo there at one time. And I take my grandkids to the ones right now, and they just love it. And I know that they'd feel so bad if you guys were going to close that up. And I know that I would too. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, go to them now. It's packed. Every time I've gone there, the place has been packed. So I just hope that it stays.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Sue Volkman. I live at 4235 Sandpit Road. And I find it very interesting. I walked into this meeting and we started with a prayer. We've asked the Lord to come in and help with a unified decision. And there are so many different things to consider when you're looking at Life Fest or at the racetrack. And I go to both. When I think of the racetrack, I think of the raffles that they have every Friday, the 50-50 raffle, where they're helping out charities in our community, families in our community. I look down the bleachers and I see where it's so open to people that are disabled and in their wheelchairs and just how much they just enjoy being here. I go with my kids. I have grandkids coming up, and I so want them to be a part of the racetrack. They have giveaways here, bicycles. They're always looking out for the kids. It's keeping the kids off the streets. It's keeping them out of harm's way in so many different ways. It's a fun, healthy, family-oriented activity that brings everybody together, no matter if you're a Christian going to Life Fest or you're somebody doing something else. It brings everyone together. And I think when I think about God, God's main goal is to bring us all together, to learn to work together. And as far as Life Fest goes, Life Fest is another avenue here that is so important. It also brings families together. It brings people from all over our community and other communities also. I really cannot understand why there's a debate to begin with when you have two activities that are so wonderful, bringing families together, bringing our communities together, helping the boys like the Boys Brigade. Where would these boys be if they didn't have an activity such as the races to start out with? It is so fun and so enjoyable to see everybody just coming together. And I hope, and it's my prayer, because Jesus is my BFF, it's my prayer that you really think things through and weigh the facts and the truth about how this is going to affect our entire community. We need to come together because that's what a community does. We need to be able to depend on one another. Very, very important. And so my hope and my prayer is that you can dig deep into your own hearts and just hear what the Lord has to say to you on which way to go. There's absolutely no reason to have one or the other. I think it's imperative that we have both and we figure out the right solution for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Brandon Ross. I live at 2531 West 9th Ave. 19 years old. I started in racing when I was real little with my family. It's been a family thing since I was a fan of it since, before I can even remember. I sat in the stands until I was 16 years old enough for my dad to let me go in the pits. I went in the pits with him. We set up race cars and we helped multiple people build their cars, and I've learned a lot. Now, a couple years ago, I bought my own car, and I'm living my dream. I'm driving a race car. I've traveled around multiple different racetracks in Wisconsin. We got lots of dirt tracks, but when they say Wisconsin's premier dirt track, this is the nicest facility for dirt track racing in Wisconsin. It'd be a shame to get rid of something this nice.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? There's other things on the agenda other than the racetrack. I see a couple I see a couple other people here that, I don't know if they're gonna,
My name is Wes Longwitz. I live at 612 Kirkwood Drive in Oshkosh. I'm going to speak on the racetrack too. So, you know, I really believe that there's a way for this to all work out for everybody. It doesn't make sense to me when there's such a community involved that we'd get rid of one of them. I mean, the racetrack means a lot to me. I've been racing in Oshkosh for 6 years now. When I bought that first car, 4-cylinder, my dad was excited, became the crew chief right away. It's brought us together so much more than before. Like, this is our thing. This is what we do. We work on the car. I moved up to street stock this year. Not very good, but you know, I love doing it, and we love getting better and working on that and getting better all the time. But more than us, I have 2 little boys now, so they're going to be 4 and 2 next month. These guys live for this. Like, they want nothing more than to go to that track on Friday, help me with the race car. My soon-to-be 4-year-old, we took him to the kids club, or the kart club. He's in the kids club. We took him to the kart club. He was just amazed that that happens out there too. He wants to drive a go-kart, then he wants to move up to the big series. You know, he wants to be like me. He's got the little cars. We race on the table. He knows all the drivers are in Oshkosh. He talks about them. This is you, Dada. This is the next racer. This is the next racer. He knows all the names. It's just, it's crazy. I mean, to have him so interested. He's such a smart little guy, and this is what he cares about. He wants to know. He doesn't just like racing them around the track. He wants to know how they work. You know, he wants to be a race car driver, but you know, I think he could be an engineer, some other kind of job that goes along with racing, and that he learns so much about it. He wants to know how the tires fit on there. How does the engine work? Can we open up the hood? There's just so much for him to learn. As they grow up, keeping them off technology, keeping them off a phone, keeping them off a screen, these are my big concerns. Like, what is there to do? How do we do that? This is something that's right here in Oshkosh that we can all do together. And if this goes away, I don't have the time, and I can't drag the kids up there to another track. We live right here in town. To go another hour, dragging all this stuff, the extra money, the extra time involved, I'm not going to do it. So I think today, if this, doesn't go through, that doesn't mean the racetrack wins. That doesn't mean there shouldn't be any winners in this, right? It just means that we maybe go back to the table, we can figure something out that works for everybody. If this passes, the racetrack is gone forever. I have to go back home and talk to these little guys and explain to them how, money mattered, how something else mattered other than what we really love and what all these people really love. So thank you for the time.
thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? State your name and address.
My name's Jason Kossel. I live at 4898 Jackson Street. My family farm has been next door for my whole life, my dad's whole life. My grandpa started it. Just coming to speak on behalf of the racetrack. I am for it. I'm not for the stage. I think that there could be something that would be able to be worked out between the two of them. I do see that the racetrack is a family-oriented event. It is keeping kids off the streets, partying, whatever. You get people there, gentlemen before me, it's his family. That's what they do. That's what they love. There's so many people out there that are like this. There's not a lot of people here supporting the Life Fest stage. I believe I haven't heard one person yet. And we have a lot of conflicts between the Life Fest people. We've been trying to do our thing that we've done our whole lives. And we get foreign objects, debris from the campers that trespass onto our property. We had vehicles drive over the fence line, ruin our crops. Did we choose to gain money back from? No, whatever, we don't want to make a dispute over things. And I don't know, it's just such a big event that Oshkosh has had, going back to Leo Speedway. Then when these gentlemen put their hard work into fighting for something that represents our community, that brings people to Oshkosh. We have Ford Festival Park, we have the Leach Amphitheater. Why can't we use one of those stages, one of those facilities? Why can't we locate to the east side of the fairgrounds where there's a 20-acre grass field? I mean, let's get real here. Why do we need to build right in where the racetrack is? Why can't we use this as a community and all work together? That's what I'd like to say.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening?
Yes, I'm Representative Amanda Stuck. I represent Appleton and Menasha down in the State Assembly. And I just wanted to touch briefly on something besides the racetrack. It's Resolution 161 and Resolution 162. I just wanted to come speak in support of those resolutions. In regards to 161, the conversion therapy ban, I have written a law or a bill at the state level that would outlaw conversion therapy for minors because this is such a dangerous therapy. We know that young people who are exposed to this therapy are at higher risk for suicide and drug use because this therapy often in times involves burning or electrocuting minors in order to change their sexual identity or expression. And it has been discredited by all professional association. So this is something that we should do to protect our youth. So I hope that you do look at this. Even though I have put something forward at the state level, it's such an important issue for us to talk about and be aware of that I think it's important we address it at all levels of government. In regards to Resolution 162, I think it's incredibly important as we hear from employers all the time about how they are just dying for talent and people, that if we really want to help our employers attract the best and brightest people to our community to work for them, that one of the most important things we can do is create welcoming and accepting communities where everybody feels welcome here and wanted, and this kind of resolution is a thing we need to do in order to create those communities where people want to come live and where they want to come work for employers in our community. So I hope that you'll look at that, those resolutions and support those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Professor Cathleen Corley from the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, and I'm here to speak on the same issue that the representative did. I've dealt with many students in their late teens, but I think that conversion therapy is extremely harmful, and I already deal with students who are struggling even to the point of suicide with their, struggling with their sexual orientation, and I think that conversion therapy most certainly should be banned for those who are younger. So I think it's very psychologically damaging and traumatic, and I think that those who are particularly under 18 should be protected from this. Also on the issue of employment, I would also like to speak in favor of anti-discrimination. Having been someone who was discriminated against because I was thought to be a lesbian, and denied renewal in another state at another institution, I think that there should always be openness for those of various gender identities and also sexual orientations in our community. Thank you. 1343 Washington Avenue.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening? Is there anybody else that would like to address the board on anything on the agenda this evening?
I would just like to thank all the board members that gave us the respect to turn and look at us. Thank you. Please, please keep the racetrack.
Thank you. That portion of the meeting will be closed. Communications and petitions from the clerk.
You received a couple of thank you cards from some of the students who were awarded scholarships last month. One was from Michelle Loken, and the other was from Allison Conrad, and they both just wanted to thank you very much for the scholarship. We do have a notice of claim from John Nevendorf for damage to his boat's prop and bent prop shaft caused by a pile of rocks and bricks in the water at the end of the Asylum Point boat launch landing. This is being referred to the Personnel and Finance Committee. We have a claim from Joe Norris for damage to his car caused by the Knapp Street gate at Whitman Regional Airport, also being referred to the Personnel and Finance Committee. And then listed on your agenda, I won't read them all because of time, but there is a number of resolutions from other counties, all of which are in regards to legislation or suggested legislative changes, so they are being referred to the Legislative Committee. Again, the list is there on your agenda. And then the only other thing is we do have one petition for a zoning amendment from Jason Matthew Diaz in the town of Algoma, requesting a zoning change from general agriculture to rural residential for single-family residences, referred to planning and zoning, and that is all.
Reports from committees, commissions, and boards. Supervisor Lautenschläger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to announce that the Winnebago County Department of Human Services will be holding public hearings on the 2018 Human Services budget. It will be tomorrow, June 21st, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Human Services office on Washington Street in Oshkosh. And it will also be on Thursday, June 22nd, from 8:30 to 9:30 at the Human Services office in Neenah on Commercial Ave. So just want people to be aware of, if you have any questions on anything that's on the Human Services budget for 2018, come and express your opinions. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As our clerk just said, we have many things for resolutions and that on the Legislative Committee, which will be Monday, June 26th at 8:30 a.m. For all those that are on that committee and anyone wishing to come, that's at the James P. Coughlin Center. And also tonight on your desk, you've seen the pins and the booklets and the flyers from the fair. So don't forget about August 2nd through the 6th is the Winnebago County Fair this year. So hopefully you can all attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This past Saturday, we had our first annual Winnebago County Wheelchair Wash. It was a success being the first time. We had about 20 plus wheelchairs that we washed. I want to thank very gratefully the supervisors that came out to help. Supervisors Gordon, Lowenschlager, Powers, and Sinkstock, and also County Executive Mark Harris. They were washed and respected, and I think we're going to pursue to have another one next year. The second thing I wanted to bring up, maybe Chairman, you're going to bring it up, but I saw Robert Keller's wife last week, and Robert Keller is still in the Milwaukee VA hospital. He's being held there, and he can't leave. He had a bout with pneumonia, kind of a setback, and his wife said he would very much, if you're in the Milwaukee area, to go visit him because he's anxious to see and talk to people he knows.
Thank you. County Executive, approval of the proceedings from May 2nd and May 16th. Are there any additions or corrections? All in favor of the two signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. County Executive's report.
The board has several important things on tonight's agenda. Obviously the contracts for Life Fest and how they impact the racetrack are clearly among those, and I'll come back to those. But you also have a resolution with regard to the Buckstaff property, and if you have any questions on that, I think the treasurer can give you answers. But this actually ends up being a windfall for the county in that we will recover funds advanced to the other taxing entities that have already been paid by the county to them, because state law requires us to pay unpaid property taxes to the other taxing entities. And then we have a right to recover those monies in foreclosure. But we don't want to foreclose on that property because of concerns over contamination. And this is a way of us staying out of the chain of title, just like First Merit Bank was unwilling to foreclose because they didn't want to be in the chain of title. And the Small Business Administration was unwilling to foreclose because they didn't want to be in the chain of title. This will allow us to stay out of the chain of title, recover a lot of the monies that we have already paid out, but also we would then forgive the county share of the property taxes that are unpaid, which we wouldn't recover anyways if we don't foreclose, to complete the deal. But I would urge you to talk to the treasurer if you have any questions on that. Mark Roloff was also going to join us, but they have a council meeting tonight, so he may be here. If you have questions, you could direct at him, if not the treasurer. There's also a resolution on here with regard to CGI Communications. CGI does short promotional films for counties. They don't charge the counties for producing those. They put them on their own website, and they ask that you have a link to that website. But the reason we need a resolution on this is that they do reserve the right to sell advertising on their website that we would link to. And that's writing right on the edge of our rules with regard to advertising. We would not allow advertising on the county's website, so I would not engage in this unless the board supported it, because we would be linking to a site that in fact had advertising on it. Many other counties have done it. They generally have appeared well, and I actually support going with the CGI contract, but won't do so unless I have a board resolution allowing me to do that, because we would be linking to a website that could have advertising on it. I will come back to the racetrack, and I have to say the audience here has done an exceptionally well job of representing their point of view, and their view is legitimate. There was a little bit of information that wasn't exactly correct. There never was any agreement involving $1 a year for Life Fest. The contract, I think, provides for 5 years at $25,000, then it goes to $30,000, I believe, and then after that, $35,000. You have to look in the actual agreement, but there was nothing at $1 a year. That's a rumor that someone's inadvertently injected into the process. I also my comment on $100,000 relates to the racetrack. When the county rebuilt the racetrack and did a new racetrack, I'm told that it was generally believed that we would receive about $100,000 of rent a year for the racetrack. And while that was a relatively slow payback for the $1.4 million the county invested in the track, I think the board was accepting it at that time because of many of the very reasons that the people that love the racetrack are giving tonight. But we didn't get that money. We got close to it for 2 years, but we actually received more rental on the racetrack in the first 2 years of its operation than the 17 years combined since. And in fact, the taxpayers have laid out about $1.8 million more than the county has received in payments from the racetrack. And to make this point, I think I'm going to read some of those recent payments.
I don't think we should get into point and counterpoint. I mean, it's...
Well, but I think it's important that the board understands that the taxpayers have laid out a substantially larger amount, $1.8 million, than the revenues we received, that the attendance numbers we've been shown tonight do not match up at all with the attendance numbers that have been suggested by the promoters when paying our contracts. And let me give you some numbers. 2011, $4,640. 2012, and these are the revenues to the county. They don't count the utilities paid that go to the utility companies and not to us. $2,779 for 2012, $3,511 for 2013, $3,935 for 2014. 2017, the number's a little better. When you come up to 2017, it's about $22,000. And that amount was reached after the Impact Motorsports rejected our request for that payment and said they were leaving the track. And it wasn't until they discovered that we had another use for the track that they were willing to pay that amount. And by the way, when we gave them that contract, we made it perfectly clear that they should be making alternative plans that they should not expect to renew at this location. But we clearly have two good events that people value, but there is a significant difference in the impact of the two events. The Travelers Bureau does economic impact analysis on events. And Life Fest, that has an attendance of 90,000, many of them from out of town, but thousands of them from within town. And I suspect that's days attended. It may be people that stay multiple days may be counted more than once in that attendance. Just like the racetrack gives attendance figures that may include many of the same people that attend every Friday. They're responsible for 2,436 hotel room stays. And the total economic impact to the community is $6,120,000. And that's part of what's driving this, is that we recognize how valuable to the community, how valuable having Life Fest is. And we believe by building a permanent stage that locks them into our location, that together with the 10-year contract.
Hey, okay, don't point and counterpoint.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a riot going here.
But the whole point is, we are aware that we are running out of space for Life Fest. We made the same mistake with Country USA. The first day I was elected here, I was told by Country USA they were leaving because the board had not responded to their needs for additional space. And sure enough, they did. And that's why this issue is coming up, is that there's a dramatic difference in the economic impact. And people say, well, put the stage somewhere else. Well, obviously the stage has more value if it's adjacent to existing restroom, grandstands, snack bars. That's why that's a preferable location. And we fully understand the passion of the racetrack fans. I have to say, I've actually been very impressed by some of their arguments. But if the board is making a business decision, the economic impact of Life Fest is enormously larger than the racetrack. The rents we receive from Life Fest are larger than the racetrack. And a decision could, over time, cause Life Fest to be lured away to some other location. They're an event that every community would like to have. So many of these events have a lot of drinking combined with music. This is an event that has huge attendance, huge economic impact, and almost no drinking. So that, well, and I know information has been put out there. You know, rumor mills have been filled, but we do see all the police reports. We do see all the police reports with regard to Life Fest. And quite frankly, there are not many issues on Life Fest grounds. And I know people have heard rumors to the contrary, but they're just not true. So that's what's driving this decision. I hope the board will look at it objectively. I'm sure there's some board members that can speak on this honestly, but I have to tell you, regardless of which way the board decides, at some point in time, if we've got this great track and we've got this great attendance, the county is going to have to be paid fairly if racing continues there. Thank you. I now have some appointments.
Yes. Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark, the CGI communications deal, I know it's moved to 2-3 different places before Larry and Mike finally did it on their own. And the question I had from day one is, are they going to do it throughout Winnebago County, or are they going to do it just through Oshkosh? I mentioned this to Mike, and he said the administrator makes that decision. So my question to you is, are you going to go through Winnebago County, or just the city of Oshkosh?
I'd like to see them hit some of the highlights all over the county.
Well, like to it, but according to Supervisor Norton, you make that decision for them.
Yeah, I clearly would indicate to them that I would not want it to solely focus on one part of the county. Now, that doesn't mean, you know, they might want to have something from EAA, they might want to have something from Jazz Fest and Nina.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And you also have, and they've been lost in a shuffle since I've been on the board, which is Winnebago and Amro.
Yes.
I think this board has got to start working towards Winnebago County in general, not just the city of Oshkosh.
I think that's the intention all along. And if you look at the other counties that have done this, some of them have actually been doing interviews of the county board chair or the administrator. I'm hoping they don't do that. I expect this will be up for a long time, and I think it should really focus on events and features of the community.
And I already talked to one major business. If this does go through, we'll be contacting you for the advertising. I don't know where else.
But their advertisement is with CGI, and
Well, then
I would
that'll
prefer
be
to stay
fine.
out
You-
of that.
Then you can send them there or whatever, but one super good business might be interested. Thank you.
Supervisor Brooks.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mark, I talked to you for a couple minutes beforehand and told you I was going to be asking this question. It's one that I've had ever since this discussion first came up. And while I understand that Rob Way was tasked with bringing in more revenue, it does seem at times to be a little hard to understand why you would get rid of one revenue and put all your eggs in one basket. But I heard information at P&F that I believe answered my question, but I would like to make sure that I understand it correctly. I wanted to know why we couldn't coexist. And during P&F, there was a lot of discussion about land available for acquisition so that both could coexist. And I don't want to get into point counterpoint either, but I'm not sure that everybody understands the budgeting process as far as the levy cap that we have and what impact that would have in order to purchase that land and then convert land so that we could coexist with both entities.
We have looked at neighboring parcels of land, and generally dry parcels are asking a significant amount of money. Now, we've not actually made offers, but we've made inquiries. And there's not a lot of people offering their property for sale. There's some wet parcels that we probably could obtain, but it would be very expensive, and we would require a 3/4 vote of the board to acquire that land. And I think if Rob's here, perhaps he can address that. He's the one that investigates that and would have the numbers. But you are talking about an additional substantial cost to acquire that land.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear from Rob, if possible, to answer this. I think it's important for the board to hear what we heard at P&F.
Okay.
Several years ago, actually back in '05, I was tasked with researching the surrounding property. If you recall, the Bruce Gabriel property was made available, and we had an appraisal done, and it came out to of one of the parcels, and it came out to $320,000. And that was looked at because we were thinking about with Country USA in mind. At that point, the Parks Committee turned that down. Now, I can only imagine that it's gone up since then, and I've noticed lately that the for sale sign has been pulled, so I'm not aware of that property, if it's still available. So the property to the west has been looked into, and there is some surrounding property that may be available, but it has problems. It's very wet, and development of it would cost substantial investment.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Warnke.
Well, I wanted to ask Rob why it is that we can't use some of the land that's already in the park. In other words, on the south side, there seems to be an awful lot of land out there. And I don't see any reason why you can't convert, even if it's a soccer field, to convert it to that. There's an awful lot of land just sitting out there.
I'd have to have more specifics on, convert it to what purpose?
Well,
for?
to meet Life Fest thing, where they can build their own stage and grandstand and bathrooms. I mean, there's a lot of room out there. We just took a tour through there when we went in with the county board, and to me, there's an awful lot of land sitting out there, and it doesn't seem to me like it's going to be used that much.
Well, it would entail a decision similar to what we're talking about here, with a elimination of the programming on that end of the park, which, as you know, includes soccer.
Only a part of it, Rob. You know that. You don't need all that.
Right. I think the better solution would probably be to look at surrounding property, but again, it's prohibitive. What I've mentioned about the surrounding property and the price, that's only for the price of the property. You have a substantial investment, even with that $320,000 lot, just to put in a road infrastructure that would have to come with development, much like Liebhauser did some years ago. He put in roads, but it was through a process of many years, and I know that he put a lot of money into that. So if we were to buy property to the west, it would not only just entail a purchase price, but a big investment infrastructure-wise.
Well, I don't know. You got roads out there now, so maybe they got to be improved, but that can happen too.
Mm-hmm.
There's room out there for both of these things, and I think if we did a little more looking, and we can fit them both in. It's just that they.
Are we on appointments? I do have some appointments tonight to boards and commissions. And let's see. The first one is the Board of Adjustment. Sue Drexler, I nominate Sue Drexler for the Board of Adjustment.
So moved. Second. Then moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
I have 4 appointments to the Fox Valley Workforce Development Board. Leslie Bradley for a term that would end 6/30/2020. Russ Hass for a term that would end 6/30/19. Mark Westfall for a term that would end 6/30/2020. And Patty Anderson, and I believe it should be Shue, not Shaw, for a term that would end 6/30/2020.
Then moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Supervisor Rose, Supervisor Ramos, and Supervisor Keller have asked to be excused. I have an appointment to make, but I'm going to let the sheriff do his presentation first, and then I will come back to do that. So.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to switch gears here. We have a situation with Foxcom. For those of you that are aware of Foxcom, it's a consortium that consists of Winnebago County, Calumet County, and Outagamie County. In December of last year, Outagamie County gave notice that they were pulling out of Foxcom. We share with those other 2 counties a computer-aided dispatch program. And Calumet also gave notice March of this year that they were leaving the consortium. So it has left us with no other choice but to go on to our own system. We went through the process of going through Outagamie County's RFP process. We listened to 2 vendors speak to us. We scored those 2 vendors, And then we also brought in Motorola, which is our current vendor that we share a system with, and we scored them. With all of the fire chiefs and police chiefs within the county voting and scoring, we opted to stay with Motorola as our CAD system. So we need to purchase a new CAD software so we can continue to do first responder business. So the CAD software, when a call comes in on 911 or it comes in on a general phone number, the dispatcher enters the information, is sent out over the computer, and it goes out to the squads and to the fire trucks or ambulance. And there's much more to the system, but that in general is what it allows us to do. It also is a records management system just for CAD. You're going to see that we're going to look at a three-part process. It's the computer-aided dispatch software and hardware, the LRMS, which is the Law Records Management System, and also the JRMS, which is a Jail Records Management System. Those two, the LRMS and JMS, have been the same vendor and the same software for many years. It has far outlasted anything that we had anticipated. We did plan for this replacement in CIP, so we had money set aside or money proposed to spend on these two programs. And as I stated, we currently share the Motorola P1 CAD system with Calumet and Outagamie. This current system reaches end of life in June of 2018. We had planned to upgrade the system with Foxcom with the other two counties, but since they've opted out, we have to go alone. And we need to upgrade. What we plan on doing, or what I'm asking you to approve next month, is that we upgrade our current system to the new platform, the new CAD platform. The LRMS software will reach end of life in 2018, and again, we plan for that replacement in CIP. It is currently the service agreement is held by Foxcom, and it's just cheaper for us to do that because we have all three systems held by Foxcom, and our maintenance was cheaper. All of the law enforcement agencies within Winnebago County use the current LRMS system, and they will continue to use the same so we can share information throughout the county. It's necessary to upgrade this LRMS system, and again, we had planned for it in CIP. The jail records management system will reach end of life in 2019. That was part of the suite that we had planned, the LRMS and the records management system as a whole to replace. Again, the service agreement is held through Foxcom because it's cheaper for us to do maintenance. We have to upgrade that system as well. There's some benefits I'll just talk about real briefly. Currently, we have 3 separate systems of software and hardware. By combining them under one vendor, we're going to save money in that area with bringing in one service agreement versus 3. And the systems are going to work together. So if an officer arrests somebody on the street, as soon as that information is added into CAD, the computer-aided dispatch, it then becomes part of LRMS. And if the person goes to jail, it becomes part of JMS, the Jail Records Management System, and that allows for less entry. Instead of entering it 3 times, it's entered once through CAD. By purchasing the upgrade suite, we only have one set of hardware. That gives us about a $360,000 discount. Again, it reduces the redundancy of entering records, and it will allow us to install latest technology and stay up to date for a 10-year program, for a 10-year time frame. Our estimated cost is about $2.2 million, and that includes a 5% contingency fund. We are still getting information from Motorola. We are very close, but we have a interface with Outagamie County, so we can dispatch their Appleton units, and they can dispatch our North End units as well, and it cuts down on response times for first responders. The system will include all the software, hardware, the interface engineering with Outagamie, installation, configuration, and training. by sticking with the same program, sticking with the same vendor of Motorola, just doing an upgrade. The training is much easier and much more cost effective. The ongoing systems costs, and again, these are fluctuating a little bit as well because each interface that we have to purchase, there's a service agreement that goes, a maintenance agreements that goes along with it. But basically, what it amounts to is that there's a yearly savings of approximately $85,000 by now going alone and not having to pay the Foxcom administrative costs and some other costs or some other savings by having all three systems under one hardware and software agreement. And it does include all of the software version upgrades as well as a refresh of hardware at year 6, which is what the standard is in the industry. That is it for the presentation. It was fast, but any questions?
Supervisor Scherf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff, regionalism was kind of the big thing for a long time, and I think the police department led that effort with things like the MEG unit and Foxcom. Can you address why Allegheny County would decide to draw out? I mean, at least in your opinion?
It's well, it's a little. I don't know if it's complicated or not. I mean, we've taken the checkered flag, for lack of an analogy here, but on Foxcom as a whole. It has run its course. It did very well for us when it was in place. We had asked, both Allegheny and Winnebago asked Calumet to pay some additional costs, because when you look at what they're receiving for the amount that they paid, it was not comparable to the other two larger counties. They did not want to do that, and that's kind of started it, but it also, there was just a frustration with where we were currently at with that system. It's just really run its course. Yeah. And I understand regionalization gives you more buying power. It allows you to share information, but as you can see, the cost savings really wasn't there. There was that additional cost by having everybody together and having to have someone run that.
Yeah, thank you.
Supervisor Powers.
Sheriff, sir, does this give us the capability of sort of speaking to other systems, either statewide or on the federal level, or does that sort of system even exist?
Radio-wise, this is separate from the radio system. We are able to speak to the state.
I really wasn't talking about vocalization. I was talking about the computers interacting with each other.
Not necessarily. We speak through other records that we share with other the state agencies and other agencies, but not necessarily through our own records management system. There is nothing that the state has sponsored that would make it systematic throughout the entire state.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now you can go. Yep. At this time, I would like to ask your approval to appoint Justin Powell to District 6, and he's from 612 Wilson Street in Neenah. Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Would you please come up, Justin? Well, as you can see, we need some young blood. We got some young blood now. Okay, I need you to repeat after me. You have to raise your right hand. I, Justin Powell.
I, Justin Powell.
Have been appointed to the office.
Have been appointed to the office.
Of County Board Supervisor.
Of County Board Supervisor.
District 6.
District 6.
Swear that I will support the Constitution.
Swear that I will support the Constitution.
Of the United States.
Of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin.
And the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin.
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God. Welcome aboard. I'll have you sign this before you go. Zoning reports and ordinances. Report number 1, Keith C. Helder, Town of Poygan. Supervisor Kreischer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of report number 1.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Carried. A mandatory ordinance rezoning from A2 to R1 for tax parcel number 020-003203. Supervisor Kreischer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of mandatory ordinance number 060117.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Supervisor Ellis, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to, in everybody's packet, there was a deal on the annual satisfaction survey results of Parkview Health Center. Everybody just guide through that and just see what kind of a nice report we got from the residents as well as their families.
Okay, thank you. Report number 2, Douglas Falk, Town of Winnebago. Supervisor Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the acceptance of report number 002.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance rezoning B2 to B3 for tax parcel number 030-171-03. Supervisor Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also move for the acceptance of a mandatory ordinance number 060217.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Report number 3, Kenneth Walter, Town of Oshkosh. Supervisor Gabbert.
I move for the acceptance of report number 00003.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. A mandatory ordinance rezoning from A2 to R1 for tax number, parcel number 018-0549-09 and 018-0549, parent P. Supervisor Gabbert.
I make a motion to approve the mandatory ordinance number 060317.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 146, 2017, commendation for Judy Harveth. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for resolution number 146, 2017. Commendation for Judy Harvath. At the end of a great career as a certified nursing assistant at Parkview Health Center, Judy Harvath chose to retire on her 30th anniversary date of May 18, 2017. Her years at Parkview were spent working with the difficult population of residents with end-stage dementia and psychological disorders. She consistently provided great care and grew to have positive, impactful relationships with her residents and their families. Judy is hardworking and was always dedicated to the care and well-being of the residents she worked with. Her coworkers speak fondly of her in remembering how she was always willing to lead a helping hand. We wish Judy the best in retirement and thank her for all her years of service.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution 147, 2017, commendation of Paul Benke. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for resolution 147, 2017. Commendation for Paul Benke. Paul Benke retired from Parkview Health Center on June 1, 2017, after 36 years of dedicated service. Paul began his career as a laundry aide, then moved into a maintenance worker position, and ended his career providing support to the activities department. Highly respected by his coworkers, Paul served as the union president and was active on many different committees. Paul took pride in being resident-focused, and his work in many different areas of the building allowed him to get to know many residents and employees on a first-name basis. We wish Paul a relaxing and enjoyable retirement.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 148, 6/2017, commendation for Anthony Mann. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for resolution number 148, 6/2017.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
I have a
Okay, go
commendation
ahead.
for Anthony Mann. Anthony Mann began his career with the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department in 1990 as a substitute corrections deputy. During his career in corrections, Anthony filled the positions of deputy, corporal, and court services deputy. When the Winnebago County Huber Center opened, Anthony was one of several staff members who were instrumental in making a smooth transition of operations from the Winnebago County Jail to the Huber Center. Throughout his corrections career, Anthony was always known as a good communicator who could talk with any incarcerated individual, showing genuine concern for each inmate's individual issues. Anthony would be called upon at a moment's notice to speak with many inmates who were in crisis. Anthony carried out his duties in a professional and compassionate manner and is deserving of recognition. Please join me in expressing appreciation for his years of service as he enters into retirement.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution 149, 6/2017, commendation for John Zimmerman. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for resolution 149, 6/2017. Commendation for John Zimmerman. With 30 years of service to the citizens of Winnebago County, John Zimmerman retired from the sheriff's office on June 1, 2017. John began his career with the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office in 1987 in corrections, transferred to patrol in 1991, and was later promoted to the positions of sergeant and then lieutenant. John worked as the DARE deputy, educating local youth on the dangers of drugs, alcohol, and gang affiliation. John was considered to be an expert witness when testifying in court regarding complex traffic accidents. He was a member of both the Honor Guard Unit and Motor Carrier Safety Assistance Program. In 2009, he graduated from Northwestern University School of Police Staff and Command. John's great interpersonal skills help him make his mark on the agency and on the community he served. Please join me in expressing our gratitude and best wishes as he enters retirement.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution 150, 6/2017, authorized settlement for unpaid taxes on tax parcel number 903-0324, commonly known as the Buckstaff property. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for resolution number 150, 6/2017.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Supervisor Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Mr. Harris indicated, I do have a question for the county treasurer.
Yes.
First of all, I'm struggling a little bit why I should vote to forgive a property tax liability for a corporation in Oshkosh, when obviously all of us who reside here, if we have unpaid taxes, we don't forgive those. Mr. Harris stated the primary reason is because the property is, what's the right word, contaminated. If we don't want to take title because of that, we know that it's going to be developed. Who is assuming the responsibility for the contamination?
It's my understanding that there's a joint agreement with the city of Oshkosh, the mortgage holder, and the former owner.
Do you have a number of how much it's going to cost?
The last document that I read was 1.8 million.
Okay, all right. That kind of helps the decision. Thank you very much.
We did this at the same thing some years back in the city of Menasha, by that old railroad station, I believe it was contaminated, and we ended up doing the same thing to get rid of it. I mean, so we didn't have to, but that we had to end up spending a ton of money redoing it.
Well, that kind of helps explain it, and not only to the fellow supervisors, but to the public.
Yep.
Kind of an unknown number, I think. Thank you.
Supervisor Gabbard.
Just a quick question for Mary. Of that amount that we're authorizing settlement for unpaid taxes, how much of that do you think you will get back from other entities?
We already have the check from Fox Valley Technical College. The city of Oshkosh has already approved the payment back of their share, the state share, and the special assessments and charges. And Oshkosh School District, it is on their June 28th agenda.
Before they vote.
So of that 31,000, I'm familiar with the process. So of that, what do you say is our county share?
The county tax portion is $30,010.45.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my thing's not working.
Try it now, is it?
I guess I'm just curious, we're gonna forgive the back taxes because of the contamination. It's already, basically, the excavation's been started, half the building's up. The site must be prepared to build a building on because, you know, if we don't forgive the taxes, that building's going there. It's basically already starting to be erected. So I just wonder why we're gonna give away our money when the land already is cleaned up and it's all ready to be used. They're building there 12 hours a day. I guess if somebody could answer that question, I'd be interested.
The portion that the arena is being built on is the portion that's least contaminated. And it will be capped with the arena and the asphalt parking lot, which is a way to remediate some contaminants. The additional contaminants that are there do need to be dealt with on the remaining portions of the property. It was one parcel, it's been divided now into two parcels.
But in order to get clear title for the arena, won't it have to be cleaned up? I mean, we don't have to take possession of it until, I guess, the building's built.
It's a unique agreement. The city will ultimately own the land. The arena will be a leased improvement, will be an improvement on leased property. So the arena owners won't own the land, they will own the building, which is much like properties we have at our airport with airport hangars and the hotel and stuff. The county owns the land, we get lease payments from those tenants.
But ultimately, for the city to get clear title, we have to basically relinquish the lien. So if we don't relinquish the lien, eventually it's gonna be cleaned up, and then they'll pay us our $39,000.
Possibly.
Thank you.
Supervisor Eisen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like for you to recognize that the city manager of Oshkosh has arrived to the county board room, and I'm sure that he could also explain additional answers to questions
What do you want
involving...
him to explain? Mary's doing a pretty good job.
That's fine. Just recognize that the city manager is here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll vote by our little iPad. First of all, you have to punch back in because the iPad... You have to punch back in like you're here because of something happened to our iPad. Okay. Okay, now if you approve, vote aye. If you don't, vote nay. You have to remember, by voting aye, you will be saving the county a lot of money. Chuck, you gotta push one more confirm. Whoop. There you go. That is passed. Resolution number 15162, 2017. Authorize execution of Grandstand Complex Improvement Agreement with Life Promotions Incorporated. Supervisor Finch.
Mr. Chairman, I move for 151-62017.
And on that, there's a corrected copy that corrects the amount. It should have been, it was put on your desk. It was, the thing that was changed was the amount is $550,000.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
I want to state, I've got 25 years on this board, and this vote's going to be one of the hardest votes I have to make. I heard also tonight the difference of the name of the racetrack. Some people think it's the Oshkosh racetrack, but it's truly the Winnebago County's racetrack. How many people in this room actually know why we are here tonight? We offered the race people a nice contract, very much the same as Manitowoc and other surrounding racetracks in our area, and they flatly turned us down. Now, I know some people don't care for Mr. Harris, and Mark and I, we've had words ourselves, but it's his job to do what's best for Winnebago County. And when the owners of the racetrack turned us down, what is the county exec supposed to do? So I guess, you know, and this is, it's truly hard because there's so many people involved. You know, if it's just 20, 30 people, but we're looking at 500, 200, 800, whatever. But the point is, Mark Harris has been getting a bad rap for doing his job, and I don't think that's right. So, Rob is here for any questions that the county board would like to ask. Thank you.
Supervisor Olson.
Thank you. And I have a few questions to ask. I've been, obviously like everybody in this room, going over this in quite detail. And we all witnessed the level of passion that these people have for the racetrack, who now could possibly see their whole lifestyle disappear. But on the other hand, we have the Life Fest, who has negotiated in good faith for a permanent location at the Expo Center. I must say, though, that some of the tactics that the race people have so far shown have not really helped. As Supervisor Finch said, the racetrack promoters did not negotiate in good faith. They walked away over $4,000 difference, and that amount could have been easily recovered through slight increases in ticket prices or more ad sales. Also, the signs that they just put up were really quite misleading. Life has never asked and never demanded to have that stage at the racetrack site. So to put them in the middle of this really is quite unfair. All they are asking for is a permanent place to hold their festival every year. Having said that, the county isn't totally innocent either. After it was apparent that the contract with Impact Motorsports was not going to be renewed, nothing was done to secure a different promoter, leaving me to believe that the county wanted nothing to do with racing here on out. And I think that this whole thing is more about money and not about the dedicated people who have spent a great deal of their lives coming to an event during the summer. We're asking what's best for the county. Shouldn't we also be asking what's best for the residents of the county? And both groups let you down, and that's why this decision is so difficult. I did a lot of homework to make sure that I had most of the facts before I voted. After hours of reading correspondence between the Parks and Impact Motorsports, Parks and Life Fest and Impact Motorsports, and the various contracts, including the ones we are voting on tonight, after many phone calls, emails with race fans and others, and after directly contacting Life Fest, there's still a lot of unanswered questions I have over this. And I'd like to ask Rob Way to come forward so I can ask him some of these questions to help me make up my mind. Thanks, Rob. Is it true that the Parks Department billed Impact Motorsports for electricity they did not use?
No, I'm not quite sure where you're coming from on that.
There has been, and again, I'm asking this because there have been accusations that the electricity panels were never shut off after races, and therefore they were billed for other events that were using those electricity panels.
You're looking at years ago, we settled with them.
But that did happen.
Certainly, it happened.
That happened.
Because we had inadequate meters at the time.
All right.
We've sent,
Is it true that the Parks Department billed Impact Motorsports Racing $15,000 for runoff and then relented when they went to City Hall?
I don't know about them going to City Hall for what, to address the bill?
Yes.
No, I'm not familiar with what you're getting.
You're not familiar with the fact that they were getting, they thought their fair share should have been a lot less? And in fact, was the $15,000 billed to them?
$15,000 is not clicking. Now, you're talking about their dispute over how much they're paying for stormwater fees.
Right.
Right, and again, we went through a process of meeting with them, coming to an understanding how much their payment would be with the amount of time they use, and then we would pick up the rest when they're not out there.
Okay, all right.
$15,000 does not stick out as a figure.
Live Promotion stated to me that the idea to construct a stage at the racetrack location came in March 2015, when Impact Motorsports turned down a new contract. Yet the contract timeline provided by Impact, and the one I most recently recall, states that they turned it down in March 2016. So there seems to be a one-year difference here.
Well, it was last year when they turned this down.
The correspondence I have from Life Fest says it was March of 2015.
When we started talking about a stage out front. That's when we started talking about a stage in earnest, yes.
At the meeting, the idea was first floated to us. It was our understanding from Rob that Speed Zone declined to renew their contract. That was the first I heard of the opportunity to consider placement of the stage inside the racetrack. That comes from Life Fest. Is it true that it will cost over $100,000 to raise the racetrack area?
The last part of that I didn't hear.
Well, is it true that it will cost over $100,000 to raise the track?
$180,000's been budgeted.
And who's going to pay for that?
It's coming out of the parks budget.
Coming out of the parks budget, okay. Do you honestly think that you can book events when there are so many competing venues, including the new arena? We've heard a lot about how many competing venues there are in this city, and to add one more is going to be extremely difficult to attract events.
Well, number one, one of the key issues here is retaining Life Fest. So some of this evolves around that first and foremost. Putting the stage out in the racetrack resolves the major problem we have for space. So that's where the impetus came from for looking at the stage going in the track area. Programming was secondary. We didn't even begin looking into that, and we really haven't because this issue is unresolved. So the pursuit of more programming at this point in time is not part of the subject.
But it's something we need to consider about in the future if we're going to recoup some costs. Is it true that if you book other events, the stage rental will be $10,000 plus county fees?
The stage is $10,000 maximum, and then the surrounding area, the grandstand complex itself, will have to be rented out at a price that you're going to be addressing tonight.
Is it true that you stated it will take 10 years before the county recovers these costs?
The 180,000?
No, cost of the stage and everything.
Well, the cost of the stage, we're not picking that up. That's on Life Fest.
Then there was something in correspondence that I read that said you said it would take 10 years before the county recovers these costs. I can look it up as I can find it, but that's what I read here. Is it true that once negotiations ended with Impact Racing, there was no further contact with any other promoter in order to keep racing here?
The sequence would be in March of 16, Impact Motorsports turned down what was the final offer, made very clear. At that point in time, we had a meeting already set up with Life Fest to talk about the stage and where we would go with it. So with their turning down of the final offer, it presented if you want to call it an opportunity, start looking at the stage for programming purposes inside the grandstand. It's my responsibility to maximize programming, so when the opportunity was there, it was logical to start looking at the grandstand areas now not being programmed, so the stage going there would make better sense. And it would also address the issue of the lack of space.
So there was no further effort to get another promoter in, even if you could find a promoter, as the county executive said, that'd be willing to pay enough money to cover the cost that we've been losing all these years.
We had an issue outstanding as far as programming space. It was an immediate need to start looking at what Life Fest was facing in the future. I hesitate to call this an opportunity, but that's what it was. When they turned down the contract, it presented an option for putting the stage there, which also solved the problem with Life Fest and their lack of space.
Well, as you can tell from the questions I've asked, I'm not very confident in how this is all working out here. I, like some of my colleagues here on the board, feel that there could have been an effort made to keep racing here, whether it's by getting another promoter who would be willing to work on a contract that would be agreeable to the county, or whether there would be some sort of compromise that we would keep both of these in the same area. I have a real difficult time personally to tell thousands of race fans that have come here for years and years and years to say, okay, well, your promoter blew it, we're not really interested in racing anymore, so you're out of luck. So I'm considering to postpone this to a certain time to allow Impact or others to negotiate a contract that would meet county requirements. Thank you.
Supervisor Gabbard. Pardon? I agree. Supervisor Gabbard.
You might as well stay up there, Rob, because I'm going to give a spiel here, and then I got a bunch of questions. First of all, as a county board supervisor, I wanted to attend the Parks Committee meeting on May 30th, but Rob had given me a call that it was published wrong, and so it didn't have the little quirk at the bottom about quorums being formed if 3 people showed up. This has been known to this board and to all the department heads that those meetings should be published with that at the bottom. And the conversation on my answering machine is, you may have to leave if you show up. I was offended by that because I did know there would be a quorum. I thought that maybe all the department heads had a handle on this, but obviously, Rob, you did not at that time. So I was offended by that, so I did not go to the meeting. That does not mean that I'm not aware of what's been going on. So therefore, I hope in the future, when you publish your agenda, you put that little quirk on the bottom.
Excuse me, Ms. Gabbard. I've told the department heads that after we had the litigation with regard, and I've addressed this with you folks too, that after we had the litigation with the DA's office with regard to the, excuse me, the Justice Center, or the Security Center downstairs and everything, and I've been told by the Attorney General's office that putting that in there doesn't do anything. It's not going to protect you. And I've told the department heads to take that out. Now, what Rob did was he invited everybody to come to the meeting, but then really didn't realize that by doing that, there's going to be a problem with quorums for other committees. And I told him that if that happened, we're going to have a problem. And unless you as a department head gave notice for your committee that you were going to have to, he was going to have to tell people to leave. So if you want to hang that on anybody, it's not Rob, it's me, but it's also what the law is. So if you thought that that's what the law was, I'm sorry, but I did address this to you folks many months ago.
I know you did. Then why are some of the department heads in the agenda still putting that quirk on the bottom and some are not?
You have to ask them that.
Okay.
All right?
Oh, I agree with what you said, and I was kind of
So this
surprised.
isn't Rob's problem, and he didn't do this to give you a problem, and you shouldn't be offended by him because he was trying to protect you from ending up having a public meetings action brought against you, okay?
Yeah, or that I'd have to leave the meeting, yes.
All right?
Yep, that's fine, I understand that. I'll continue. That point made, we'll move on. The stage is listed in our packet at $350,000. Tonight we get here, it's $550,000. Could you explain why it went up $200,000, please?
That resolution, unfortunately, it didn't change the amount. It came up recently with the bids that came in. I'd done up that resolution about a month ago, and during that period of time, the bids came in higher. Life Vest doing the bids. Understand, we do not do the bids.
Okay, that being said, thank you on that. And I read in this agreement that we will take possession of the stage after 10 years, correct? So we will have a 10-year-old stage?
Correct.
Okay. Do you expect there to be some maintenance issues with an outdoor 10-year-old stage that when we take it over?
I don't envision that. If I have to compare it to the grandstand structure that's been there for almost 20 years, there's not a great deal that we need to do to either the pavement or the steel structure itself, so I envision this being parallel, if not even to some degree a little bit better than what we faced with the grandstand. So, no, not at 10 years.
Okay. Thank you for that. Who rents out the stage? Just a clarification. Does Life Vest rent out the stage? That's the way I'm reading that in the agreement? And then they charge the county back for whoever is, or is Vicky renting it? I don't understand.
No, the process would be similar to what we do now.
Okay.
In that we have available a facility that we market as a facility alone. We put that out there for promoters to come to us to investigate and then to program with us. And this would be very similar. You would be looking at us marketing that stage, marketing the grandstand, this new opportunity out nationally. And then those promoters would inquire with us.
Okay. Insurance liability. I understand you're going to get an insurance certificate from Life Vest. Do you feel $1 million is a high enough liability? Are you thinking you would want something higher?
That's more for, that is what our standard is. That's what we put out there as a rule.
Okay. Impervious surface, I imagine that stage would be part of an impervious surface that's being added onto the site. Do you see any problems with stormwater factors playing into this, or are you thinking there won't be any retention ponds needed or anything like that as an expense to the county?
If you're familiar with the grounds, we do have a retention area already built for a racetrack and the pit area that was calculated at its hard surface.
Okay.
Some time ago, the city did allow us to take that out as part of our stormwater impervious surface, part of that formula. So we now have a pond that is, if you want to call it overbuilt, that we are looking to factor into this as we are adding on impervious surface. So we do have some margin here.
Okay.
I am not saying that we won't have to supplement that with more area. It all comes out in calculations that are beyond me, that'll come with the consultant looking at it.
Okay, and the plan is to have the stage over where the racetrack was, in that area. Initially, if I recall, Life Fest wanted the stage in another area, but now you have redesigned this and opened up more camping for them and moved the stage over to where the racetrack was, correct? Is that what you're gaining there, is the camping space on land we already own?
Correct. Okay. Out front where the stage used to be. And another area that's overlooked that also opens up is what is now the pit area.
Okay. Expenses, we have revenue in both of these resolutions, so I'm just going to talk on the grandstand. Expenses to the county after the events are done, do you have any idea? Is it normally a lot of cleanup with Life Fest or very little? And let's just address the stage, because I know the other resolution is on the floor yet.
I can...
What do you have for maintenance after an event takes place?
We have built into all our rental agreements a provision that requires them to bring it back to a standard similar to when they entered the grounds. And along with that, we do have a provision that charges them if we find it unacceptable. We usually go through a visit, point it out, and so forth, but we have upon occasions charged promoters back for our extra cleanup.
I think that's it. And I do apologize. I didn't mean to offend you about the meeting, but I would have liked to attend, and I thought that if I attended, I would have had to leave. So, but that's all right. I got the information you sent us, everything, so I do appreciate that. That's all I had. Thanks.
Supervisor Shirk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would like to commend all the people that have written emails and who spoke this evening. This is an emotional issue. It's an issue that has two sides to it, and I thought that people handled themselves with class. I've been at some meetings, in fact, one just a month or so ago, where the audience was unbelievable in terms of their rudeness to the speakers, and so I think it's certainly appropriate that we had a good, positive discussion. It's clear to me that staff and the committees that have looked at this favor the Life Fest resolution. The citizens, as we heard tonight, obviously favor the track, but to their credit, they didn't ask to have Life Fest moved. They just asked for the ability to coexist. And so I guess, as I sit and listen to this, and as I've studied it myself, I wonder why, if Life Fest's greatest concern is to have more space for parking and for camping, why we can't use other areas of the park, as was suggested by another supervisor, for that 4 days. The other concern that I would have is whether we in fact have a written agreement, because I question what will happen when Life Fest, if this goes through, what happens when they still run out of space 10 years from now? Then what will they do? And my final question is, I guess, do we have Life Fest on record as saying if this doesn't go through, they're going to leave? So two primary questions. One
Well,
about,
let me address the park again.
Yeah.
It came out back in '04, I believe it was, when we started considering putting the Veterans Museum in there. I'm not sure very many of you were aware of that, but there was talk of what is now on the south end of town going in the park. Upon investigation, we found that it was impossible to do that because the park had been received grants. And once you receive grants, it starts prohibiting you from what you can do. And one of those things is such as sticking a non-related recreational program in there. That's one thing. But the other thing was you cannot start drawing an income from that park that deviates to a great extent from what you would normally do. Now, to go and start putting camping in there, that would deviate. I did ask that question. We allowed some charging of parking in there. Parks Committee prohibited that as a result of that, charging for parking. We had to restructure our use of the park such that, sure, they could use the park for parking, but they couldn't charge for it, Life Fest, the Hmong tournaments and so forth. Instead, we started charging it based on our shelter rentals. So we had to come up with a whole new structure. They pay for the maximum use of our shelter rentals, so it doesn't deviate. So it's very tight what we can use the park for. So I want to put away the thought of being able to start introducing things into the park that are not allowed. As far as the stage being, or Life Fest, and where it would leave them, you say 10 years from now, but if we go at a calculation of how much space we're having to make available to them each year, currently it would run out in 2018, possibly 2019, depending on the condition of a property that we have not yet brought online. We are committed to bring online a property in our back, we call it the back 40, another one in 2018, and it's a question mark on 2019. That maxes the expo out. With these adjustments, what it allows for goes beyond 10 years. At the calculation of how many acres they need per year, it brings us to about year 13 or 14. And that's, again, using the space that's out front, using the space in the racetrack pit area. And your last question?
I don't know. Thank you.
I don't either.
Supervisor Furry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is for Chuck Orenstein. We have a document we were given, and I'm referring to this one right here. Now, Mr. Harris read from the first column, which was revenue, and that's basically what the racetrack organization has paid for rent. And then I go down to the second column, and that's expenses. And you list the track as being built in 1998, and you list the debt principal starting with 1999. Bear with me. So then I go to 2000, a year later. It looks like we paid down just about probably half of the debt, somewhere in there. It went from 73,000 to 44,000.
Well, the debt service isn't advertised like a standard home mortgage. It's built to fit in with all the rest of the county borrowing, so it doesn't work like a home mortgage where the principal payments are relatively stable from year to year. Because we have a lot of other debt, and in order to fit it in to maintain a stable tax rate, the principal payments can fluctuate by year. So,
Okay, so then the amount of debt increased substantially by 2008?
that's just the debt payments again, and that's the way we amortize our debt. Again, it doesn't work like a mortgage.
Okay, well then let me ask this question. What was the cost of building the track?
$1,475,000, page 2 in the totals column.
Okay, so that was the total debt incurred in 1998.
Yes.
And what you're listing there is the payments that were made through 2008, including interest,
Yes.
to alleviate that debt.
Correct.
Okay. It does read a little awkward, I believe, but thank you for that clarification. I'll make a quick statement, and I've said this many times, and I've been criticized for it, but I'll say it again. I was elected to District 30 of this county by the residents of that district. My job is to represent. I'm a representative of that district, and I intend to do so. I have not received one call supporting Life Fest. I have received multiple calls, including today, farmers approached me, asking me to support the racetrack. It is my duty and my obligation, and I will do that, to uphold the, by far, support for the racetrack. So that's how District 30 approaches this, and I believe that is my job. I hope you all look at it the same way. Thank you.
Supervisor Smith.
A little bit of an echo of what Mr. Ferry had said. I applaud the enthusiasm of the people that are here in support of the racetrack. I have received numerous calls, emails, and even a letter from people supporting the track. I also am a person that is representing my district. I have yet to have one person in my district give me a call in support of the track. Yesterday afternoon, I took a walk down the block. I talked to 9 people. I told them this was up on it and asked them what they thought. 2 of them didn't even know we had a racetrack. The rest of them, none of them said that they ever went to the racetrack. I asked them how I should vote on this and gave them a rough idea of eliminating the racetrack and then going forward on this Life Fest investment. And except for 2 that said they didn't know and they didn't care, those are the same 2 that didn't know we had a track either, for that matter. But they all said, I leave it to my better judgment and do what's best for the county or for the district. In looking at what's involved with racing now and in the future, and this is something we have to look at, what's going to be our future. The future of dirt track racing is not going to be very big. With the changes in the automotive industry, cars, things like that, I can see that in the future, 10, 15 years from now, there will be a lot less dirt track racing. On the other hand, the desire for people to have outdoor events seems to be expanding. So from my position as a representative of the 8th district and the people that limited people in my district I talked to on this, I will vote in favor of this resolution.
Supervisor Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Life Promotions have been with the Winnebago County since 1999. They've grown and grown so much that they are willing to invest over $500,000 to give us a facility, to give us something that we could use to promote, to get other events to that facility. They are willing to have a 10-year lease. They are paying $25,000 plus the $500,000 for the stage, which I think comes to almost $75,000 a year they're giving to us. Indirectly, $500,000, directly $25,000. By going with them and voting for this plan, this resolution, we will turn that facility into a one-use facility, into a multi-use facility. And I think that's the way to go. I asked to put on the desk, there are a number of grandstand events that could be put on there even after the permit stage is put in. Yes, there are some events that are entertainment, like theater shows and circuses and drum and bugle corps. But there are also some shows that are kind of related to racing or automobiles or racing type things. We could have motorcycle races. We could have motorcycle jumping. We could have a monster trucks We could have a tractor pull. And also, this also would be benefiting the fair, because the fair would get it free of charge, the stage. They could still have their events that they have. Tom said they've had rodeos there. They could have a tractor pull, those type of events. And with a stage, that they wouldn't have to pay for, they could get acts that could bring more money to help them, and then they will lessen their costs and bring more revenue for them. It also could help Winnebago County, because if more people came to the county fair, maybe more people would come to the fair and learn more about Winnebago County. This, I see, is an investment not just in the musical venue, it's more in the musical venue. It's different than the Ford Festival field or grounds, because they can only use 2 events at that place. It's more than Leeds Amphitheater, because Leeds Amphitheater is very limited. By doing this and going with a proven professional business organization like Life Promotions, we will be able to open up this facility into multiple use and more than just one use. The people in the back who very passionately talked about, said they don't want to see an empty grandstand or facility. But I tell you, 6 days out of the week, it's pretty much empty. This could bring more events, and for community, while it might be closing down the racing community, it could open up to a whole new other community in this county. That's why I urge you to support this proposal and this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to start with, I too received many phone calls and emails. They were full of passion and enthusiasm for the racetrack. And my response was that when I was elected, I was here to represent the people of Winnebago County to make this a better place for everyone. So my intention is not to vote for the contract with Life Fest. However, I do have questions on the lease agreement, Rob. I don't know which way this is going to go. I need my questions answered. So on the road improvements within the premises, this is H, it's on page 4. We are paying to construct this 22-foot wide by 300-foot road, because it does say lessor.
Correct.
And any idea how much that is going to cost?
The breakdown for the 180,000, what the budget came from,
It's included in the 180?
correct.
Also, you plan on taking out the pit area. Is there any indication that there's any contamination within the pit area?
It will be investigated. It has not been, it'll be process of borings.
And what happens if we do find contamination? Is the county then responsible for cleanup? Because if there's going to be camping there, then it will need to be remediated?
I will not say whether or not that contamination has taken place. However, it is my understanding that if we do not change the function of that site, that it remains a racetrack, no, we don't have to remediate.
But if it becomes camping, we do, correct?
I don't want to address that. It depends. Again, that's involving a consultant and DNR determination.
Okay.
But if it were severe enough, apparently it would not have to be shut down as a racetrack. Now, again, that's in a casual conversation with the DNR specialist on that subject.
Okay, but I'm just saying that if this lease were to come to pass, that would be something that would need to be considered.
It's being looked into. It would have to be considered.
Thank you.
Supervisor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we all have noted, this is a very difficult decision because it involves so many, many things. Before I get into the real important part, I would like to ask a simple question. Is there any possibility that Life Fest would be able to stay without their stage. They've operated very, very successfully up to this point, and I guess I'm questioning whether they would leave if they don't get the stage. I'm not so sure they would, but that would be a question we ought to deal with, and perhaps it's important enough to put this off until we ask them. Now, the more important item. County parks have a purpose. And I think most people understand that purpose to be to provide recreational opportunities, a place to stroll, a place to do things for the citizens of the county. When we get into questions of big items like Life Fest, we get all tangled up with stuff that really doesn't make any difference, like how much economic impact there will be and all that sort of thing, when the important thing is the purpose of the county park. And I think that purpose is being served rather well, very well, by the activity that's been there up to this point, particularly the races. That is a weekly event that does so much for so many people in this community week after week. Whereas Life Fest is a one-time thing which draws people from many, many counties, sometimes even beyond the state, and is serving them in that way, as well as certainly serving the promoters of Life Fest big time. I hope that there will be some way, or I would like to hope that we can arrange for some way to have the two entities coexist. They have coexisted up to this point, and as I said, I'm not so sure that they will leave if they don't get their stage. But if one of them has to leave and one of them has to stay, to me, forgetting about all of the financial stuff that goes on, our responsibility is to the many people of Winnebago County who get weekly entertainment at relatively low cost. I think we ought to be sure to insist that at least the track have an opportunity to stay. If both of them can coexist, that's fine. But if only one has to coexist, it ought to be the track.
Supervisor.
We don't need the clapping. If you're going to keep clapping, we're going to make some drastic changes. I've been asked to have you not.
Initially, Supervisor Thompson did bring up a question regarding Life Fest and whether they would be willing or able to stay. And we do have Life Fest, or Life Promotions representation here if you would like them to address that.
I would appreciate that very much.
Okay.
Although I'm sure that they will, of course, indicate that it'll be terribly difficult if they don't get it. But let's hear from them.
I can't speak for that. But Dave Romanesco is here representing Life Promotions.
I'm Dave Romanesco. I'm with Life Promotions, and obviously the silent minority here. So I do want to actually thank the racing people for your passion. And our intention was never to be in the middle of all this. This is a great opportunity for Life Promotions, for Life Fest, as we continue to grow. Back in 1999, our attendance was small. We've grown over 300% since the beginning. And this year alone, we're up over 7% currently, with the event just a couple of weeks away. To answer your question, I'll try to be somewhat direct here. We never really threatened to leave. We love the county grounds. We love the partnership with the Park and Rec. We love Oshkosh. We love Winnebago County. What we are feeling, though, is some growth pains, and also the desire to stay and make a footprint here. So when we were first approaching the county on the idea of building a stage, we were looking at the original location. As time progressed, we looked at the racing area because, again, it put the best footprint for us, the best opportunity for growth, the best opportunity not only for growth, but if we're going to make an investment of over $500,000 to protect that investment, to allow us to grow. So again, that was our reasoning behind looking at the stage, because it possibly was becoming available. And that's still where we stand. As far as, are we going to outgrow the grounds? At current rate, yes. And are we threatening to leave? No. But we will need to look at options if this doesn't pass. And if it doesn't pass, then we go to Plan B. But Plan A still is for us to work together with the county to create this stage, not only for our growth, but the growth of other events.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you recognizing me to enable me to share some of my thoughts with my peers. Resolution number 151602017. If you read through it, it essentially states that there is, number one, availability of property within the Sunnyview Exposition Center Grandstand Complex. So it's all motivated by the availability of property. And number two, therefore authorizes the Winnebago County Executive and Winnebago County Clerk to execute a grandstand complex improvement agreement. So this lease all comes about because there happened to be, in the actual terms of the resolution, unexpected availability of property within the Sunnyview Exposition Center. At this point, I oppose this agreement, and I would like to offer an amendment to this resolution. And I would like to offer this amendment to the resolution by the means of a substitute resolution that would deny availability of property within the Sunnyview Exposition Center complex and direct the county executive and director of Parks and Recreation to negotiate a lease with Impact Motorsports LLC to retain automobile racing at the Exposition Center. And at this point, I will now read my amendment, which in fact is Robert's Rules of Order, page 147, Corporation Council. Oh, what is it? We'll get to that. But I'd like to deliver a copy of this to the clerk. Whereas Winnebago County has invested over $2,100,000 in infrastructure to accommodate auto racing at the Winnebago County Expo Center. Whereas in 2017, raceway improvements will be fully paid, leaving a debt-free raceway. whereas Winnebago County is host to many music festivals, but only one auto raceway. Now therefore be it resolved by the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors that it hereby directs the county executive and director of Parks and Recreation to preserve racing at Winnebago County Expo Center by negotiating a raceway lease with Impact Motorsports LLC to be considered at the July County Board Business Meeting.
Point of order. Did we not table a resolution for the same supervisor item last September that would have made us agree to an original, agree with the same agreement with Impact Motorsports?
I don't know.
Would that action have to be taken first before we move action up on this amendment?
I don't, first, there's no second on your thing, and second, you have to punch in and ask to talk. He hasn't formally punched in to talk. Supervisor Brooks.
Point of order, I would like to rule on what my point of order.
Okay, push. Supervisor Norton on your
My point of order, I wish Mr. Bodnar would rule. We had a resolution that pretty much said the same thing, that said, from Supervisor Eisen last September, that we tabled, that said that the county executive should agree to the original, I think, 5-year agreement with Impact Motorsports. We tabled that. In fact, there's a motion to amend that to say that we'll give them a 1-year contract that would end on September 30th. Shouldn't that resolution be taken up first? And doesn't that supersede this amendment?
Well, first of all, as your chairman said and the county clerk said, my memory isn't so good to remember that from September. I think the problem with Mr. Eisen's substitute amendment is, or whatever he wants to call it, is that you're basically, this is an amendment, this is a completely different resolution that you're bringing. An amendment is basically where you change some things in the resolution to reflect that. So given the fact that it's really a completely different resolution, there's no notice given to the public with regard to this, and to take that up tonight and vote on it would probably violate the open meetings law. I mean, he can certainly indicate that he's going to present that in July, but this is completely different than what you have. You have the resolution that's pending is to approve a contract with the not the fairgrounds, but the fairgrounds for with entity A, which is Life Fest. This is completely different. This is to approve an agreement with entity B, which is Impact Motorsports. So I think,
Mr. Chairman,
I think that's a problem.
Please.
Your resolution is out of order, Mr. Eisen.
You have to give notice to the public that you're going to bring this. If it's completely different than what's on the agenda, Mr. Eisen. I mean, you can quote Robert's Rules of Order, but there's a state law that says you have to give notice to the public by posting it on the agenda of anything you want to bring up. Now, if you had amended this to say, well, we want to have this contract with Life Fest, but instead of X amount of money, it's Y amount of money, or you want it to be 8 years instead of 10 years or whatever, I think you could have done that, but this is completely different. So I think if you want to bring this in, you need to post it, place it on the agenda for the next meeting so that the public has notice of it. Otherwise, the board is violating the open meetings law by considering this.
Supervisor Wojciechowski.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I call a question.
I called his resolution out of order.
Therefore, I call the question. Second.
Oh, the main question. Well, you have different people that have been chomping at the bit here to talk. Supervisor Wojciechowski.
I have a question for Rob first, kind of pertaining to the resolution we voted on almost a year ago to do with the racetrack. That resolution essentially, I think, said that we would not be renewing our contract with the Impact Motorsports. Is that correct? Kind of forgot since it was so long ago what that resolution was about.
You're looking at somebody who has a short memory, too. I believe it did. Yeah.
Okay.
I qualify that a little bit, but yes.
So essentially, if this didn't pass, that still wouldn't give the grounds to them once their current contract expires, right?
Correct. Their current contract expires, and it pretty much starts a whole new process. It does not continue automatically with Impact Motorsports.
Okay, thank you. And then I had a question about the racetrack analysis, some questions about that. So the revenue, the total revenue, is that the money that the racetrack brings in, how much they're making?
That's the payments that Impact Motorsports makes to the county to lease the track. They get any revenue from people that attend.
Okay, and then the expenses, that is like how much everything costs.
The expenses down at the bottom, are you talking about the principal and interest or the ones down below?
Just where it says total expenses, for example.
Well, that includes all the debt service costs and some operational costs that we incur because we have racing there. That's on the off season.
Okay.
So we have some costs on the off season that we have to incur because the track is there.
Okay, and I don't know if there's anything on this about it, but I know maybe Mark has said it before that since they haven't been meeting the money amount that we've expected, we've been subsidizing the cost, essentially. Is that correct?
Well, yes, we have.
Okay. So I guess to my point, we were talking about representing our specific districts, and I think that's correct, but we also have to look at that we're representing the entire county as a whole, and our decisions affect not just our districts. And when I look at mine, which has the whole UW Oshkosh in it, some calls that I got about people in my district saying that Life Fest contributes greatly to the campus because our conference center and our alumni welcome center, we host events there, we provide lodging to people who are coming from out of the state, out of the county, everything like that, and they're contributing to the campus. And then the other part, people talked about this being taxpayer dollars, that they're spending this money, so they should have the say in what happens to the racetrack. And I guess I would just say as well that the county is about 150,000 people, and everyone in the county is contributing to these subsidies that we're giving because of the money that isn't being made. So I would also ask people to remember everyone else who is paying taxes, not just the ones in the room. Thank you.
Supervisor Lautenschlager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Rob, I just got one quick question. Saying that if this resolution gets turned down, do we then kind of have a plan B? Do we go back to the scratch and do we talk to Life Fest again? Or this doesn't automatically, like I was kind of going on Supervisor Wojciechowski, this doesn't automatically continue racing, I mean, with the motorsport out there.
No, it doesn't automatically mean that. I'll go back to what I said before. The process would be that, again, their contract terminates in October. At that point in time, the process would be that we would put it out for bid like we have over, 12 years ago, or how long in Impact Motorsports. That's the last time we put it out for bid. And then we would put kind of what we did last time, open options for programming in there. We didn't just say racetrack, racing only. We left it open-ended. So we would receive those bids, evaluate them, and go according to what we felt was best. So that's that process. With Life Fest, obviously, if this were to go down, it kind of tumbles the next two resolutions as well.
Right.
We'd have to kind of go back to Life Fest and start talking what the future brings.
So then chances are, I mean, if this would get turned down and we would continue racing, it would probably be put up RFP would be put back out. It wouldn't be with the current promoters.
Correct, correct. They could, of course, bid on it, and nothing prevents that.
Well, right, they
Sure.
could bid on it, but, yeah. All right, thank you.
Supervisor Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got several questions. I'd like to start out with Life Promotions, Inc. first. What is your go, no-go on this? I know, like you said, you have a Plan B that you'll have to go to. Is this something that has to be handled tonight, or is this something that within the next year you need to have a decision made?
Thank you. The best way to answer that question is we're going into our 20th year next year at Life Fest, and the hope is tonight to get the resolution passed so we can start the process of getting this moving forward. So our best opportunity is now. And if we don't get it passed, I don't know what the options are. We will stay as long as we can stay. And to answer a question that came up earlier, we've looked at so many different scenarios on the county grounds on where to position the stage to allow for growth, allow for us to again, protect that investment that we're making in this stage. And everything we've looked at, it just doesn't work. And that's why we looked at the racetrack as our primary opportunity. Again, only if the county board approves that and votes on that. But again, back to the original question, we would need to know tonight. If it doesn't happen, we don't have option B in place right now. We would just continue on as is and negotiate for next year's lease.
A follow-up question to that then is, if I understand you correctly, that is the only spot that you would foresee as a viable spot for a new stage for you?
There may be other spots, but I will reiterate by saying it's the best spot is the racetrack based on the stadium seating that's already there, the available space for us to obviously have a large audience there to grow into it, and then the great opportunity it does as well as far as opening up other areas on the grounds for us to expand in camping and other areas of parking that we're already running out of. So that is, again, by far the best location for us for a lot of those reasons. And again, we've looked at other options for sound ordinances, for the way the stage would be positioned to allow for growth. There is nothing better than this location, and that's why we focused on it, again, if the county would approve for it.
Okay, thank you. Rob?
Supervisor Brooks, could I just mention, just to back up, maybe give a little bit more information, we did look at other spots on the site. There are about 2 other realistic options, but it amounted to basically the status quo. Unless you free up more property, just moving the stage from point A to B simply rearranges things as they stand. The only alternative was to look at creating additional space. And I do want to put it out that, given the circumstances that I explained before, again, with the turning down of the Impact Motorsports contract, it just happened to evolve. It evolved that way, that all of a sudden that opportunity became available. I put it out to Life Promotions, again, as part of my responsibility to maximize the programming there. So I don't want to put anything on Life Fest that they came to us saying, hey, that's the spot. All along, they had been mentioning out front, and there are problems with it going out front. That's a whole nother subject, but it probably would create more problems than it would solve. So again, I want to make it understood that I presented that just because the opportunity did become available, coincidentally, just prior to that meeting we had with them.
Okay, let me go back to the coexisting again. I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've gone back and forth with several conversations with you as to how I'm going to stand on this. But I see Winnebago County through the years, both as a department head and as a supervisor, purchase land when they think it's going to be in the best benefit of the citizens of Winnebago County. I think we have a tremendous EAA here because of the foresight of county board supervisors 40 years ago and 30 years ago too, building or buying and acquiring property so it could prosper the way it has. I'm still wondering why we don't look at that additional property for future use? And would that end up being able to meet the needs of both Life Promotions and the speed zone? And maybe that's not maybe I'm asking you a question you can't answer, but I just don't feel like we've explored that.
Well, we did. Again, I can't say the year, it was '04, '05, in response to the realization that Country USA was starting to expand beyond what we could carry on the grounds. So, again, I was tasked with having to look at that property, which at that time was for sale, to the west of it, the Roosh Gabert property.
Mhm.
Again, the appraisal came in for just one of those parcels at $320,000. Brought that information back to the Parks Committee. They elected not to pursue it because of the cost. And then there's the other factor of that, to develop that property, which is in farmland, it's undeveloped. So you're gonna have to bring out utilities, put in some sort of road infrastructure in there. So that's a whole nother cost, development cost. Now, I haven't done the calculations on that, but just the road system, the rough road system that Dan Liebhauser put in, he had to work with it year after year. He never did it right with a base, which is substantial investment. You know, putting something solid in there. So I don't want to give a price tag, but I know it would certainly go into the hundreds of thousands for just the road structure alone if you're going to build it right.
Right.
The back property, which can be looked at, I'm talking about in back of our undeveloped area, that's our drainage point. And we talked about this, Mark brought it up, that option could be available, but it is a problem area. You could purchase it, but there's all this drainage. Our back end, the back side of our property drains into that area, so what are you purchasing?
Well, okay. Recognizing back in 2004 or 5, whatever that time frame was, a need to expand in order to keep Country USA, and then subsequently losing it, I don't understand why we aren't exploring that option at this point. And this is not a new issue. I mean, this has been going on for at least a year, if not longer. Why it wasn't looked into as one of the options. I would feel much more comfortable if I had an idea as to what the cost would be to purchase that land and develop. We have a long history of buying property so we can develop events, and I think relying on something from 12 years ago just makes me uncomfortable.
I was gonna come back with, say we had to build a jail then. Supervisor Olson.
And we did a wonderful job and came in $3 million under budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've been debating this now for well over an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and I don't think this is going to end too soon. There really are a lot of issues that have been brought up tonight that still need to be discussed and settled. And I feared if we go to vote tonight, we're going to be missing out on a lot of things that could still certainly be hashed out to the agreement of a lot of the people, both in this room and in the citizens here. So I'm proposing to postpone this indefinitely until we can straighten more of these issues out.
I'll second that.
So, can you read back what he said?
He's making,
We don't even know what he said yet.
he's making, there was a motion and a second to postpone indefinitely.
Yes.
Okay.
Until some of these issues that have been raised tonight can be more clearly identified and explained. There's too much at stake here to take a vote tonight when there's so many other questions that need to be answered. And it was seconded, and it's not amenable, but it is debatable.
Okay, Supervisor Wingren on the,
No, I was just going to call the question.
okay, I knew I was gonna switch to you. Supervisor Egan on the, Supervisor Eisen.
Yeah, I have a question on that motion. To postpone indefinitely is a motion that will kill that resolution.
Corporation Counsel, you want to bail me out?
Kills the main motion, it doesn't kill the resolution. Is that right?
It would kill it until somebody contacts the clerk or, and asks that it be put on the agenda, that a motion be made to bring that back in.
It doesn't signify any action. It's not sending it to a committee. It's not postponing it to take it up at the next county board meeting. It is killing the resolution.
Okay, we'll vote by our iPad. Vote aye if you want to. I got all kinds of Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Going after Supervisor Eisen's thing, last time we had something like that, that's exactly what it was to kill it completely. And, you know, if to Supervisor Olson at least put a date on it, that's one thing. But most of us have been here long enough, we know what it truly means.
I'm willing to put a date on it as long as I know that these issues will be seriously discussed, so that next time it comes to the board, we have a much better, clearer picture of how we can straighten this out. Because on the one hand, we have Life Fest wanting a permanent stage. On the other hand, we have the racing fans. We've heard a lot of comments here tonight about some sort of compromise, which I think we can somehow, some way, work out, whether it's purchasing land or whether it's manipulating other things. So that's why I want to postpone it indefinitely, because there's way too many questions need to be answered. And so I would say, I don't know what a critical time frame is for Life Fest or the Parks Department, but at least 60 days.
Mr. Chairman?
This question was called a half hour.
Yeah, it was called at least a half hour ago, but, you know, at the same token, we did give an ultimatum to the speed zone, if you recall right. We did do this, and they said no. So if we do something else, they're all for it right now, but we come back and might say no again. So we're going to postpone
I'm not
it again
limiting,
for another 60
but I wasn't
days?
limiting to Impact Motorsports. I was saying any promoter.
But they had the contract for the year, sir.
So what was the date that you wanted to add to it?
60 days.
The what?
60 days.
August meeting.
60, I mean, that, okay. So we'll vote by our little iPad.
The other ones.
That he wants to postpone it for 60 days. Vote aye if you approve, no if you don't. Who seconded your motion? Oh, somebody there said they did, okay. Ellis said it. Yep. You're voting to postpone it for 60 days. Vote aye if you approve, no if you disapprove.
Hit the eyes and see if that helps. There you go. Good job.
That has failed.
Call the question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ridgman, go for it.
Supervisor Wingren.
I call the question.
Second.
Okay, we'll vote on our iPad. Vote aye if you approve, no if you differ. And it failed. Resolution 152-6, well, we don't have to do it, you don't want it? That, huh? So you just want to withdraw it? What would it? So you're looking to withdraw your offer? You're looking now to seeing that didn't pass, you're looking to withdraw your offer?
Yeah, the resolution, the next resolution doesn't apply anymore because it is tied to the stage and the partnership.
Okay.
Jerry should withdraw it, right?
Yeah. Who?
Jerry Finch.
Mr. Finch, you want to withdraw the next resolution?
This one?
Chuck. Which one are you talking about now?
Resolution 152, the Life Fest wants you to withdraw the,
He wants us to withdraw it?
yes.
Then so be it. So be
Is
it.
there a second?
Which one are you withdrawing? Clarify, Mr. 151?
152. We just voted down 151. 152 is withdrawn. Ordinance number 153-6, 2017. Oh, but first we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Good.
Okay.
George,
Jason.
I want to thank you so much.
The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website.
152, 53, 154, is it what we're on now? 154, 6/2017, request authority to apply for a National Recreation and Parks Association Meet Me at the Park campaign grant to fund inclusive play equipment for natural way area of Winnebago County Park Systems. Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for resolution 154-62017.
Been moved and seconded. Seeing no lights on, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 155-6/2017, amend the table of organization for Parkview Health Center. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Chairman, I move for resolution number 155-6/2017.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 156-6/2017, petition the Secretary of Transportation for airport improvement aid by Winnebago County. Supervisor Warnke.
Move for your approval of resolution 156-62017.
Been moved and seconded. Supervisor Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank the Aviation Committee for finally addressing this and bringing it forward. Hopefully, this will move us forward to completion of a terminal issue for the airport. So thanks for bringing it forward, guys. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Konitsky.
Director of the airport, will you tell us, the way they are listed here, is that a priority list? I hope not.
No, that is not a priority list.
Good, thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 157-6/2017, authorized lease extension with U.S. Cellular at Whitman Regional Airport. Supervisor Warnke.
Move for your approval of 157-62017.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 158-6/2017, authorized execution of an airport hangar lease agreement between Whitman Regional Airport and New View Technologies. Supervisor Warnke.
Move for your approval of 158-62017.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 159-6/2017, creating a nonpartisan procedure for the preparation of a state legislative and congressional redistricting plan. Supervisor Gordon.
I move for resolution 159-6/2017.
Been moved and seconded. Supervisor Eisen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to refer this to the Legislative Committee where it should have a discussion, and then it can come back to the board with a recommendation.
It was moved and seconded. All in favor of referring it to the Legislative Committees? Pardon? Okay. Well,
I have a question on the amendment of motion, because, you know, Julie Gordon asked the chairman of that committee, Tom Egan, what to do, and the chairman of that committee, Tom Egan, said he, she, or anyone else could present it to the county board without going to committee. We passed one last month from Supervisor Fari that did totally go to the committee. I don't see why we can't do this now.
Okay, motion was made on the board to refer it back to the Legislative Committee. So Supervisor Fari, on referring it back to the Legislative Committee?
Not indirect. My comments were to the main motion. So.
Supervisor Olson, on referring it back to the Legislative Committee?
I second it.
Okay. Supervisor Konitsky, on referring it back?
No, I have another question.
All in favor signify by saying aye on referring it back to the Legislative. Aye. Oppose?
Nay.
We'll vote by our little iPad. That has failed. Pardon? The 159? Resolution number 159. But that failed.
It failed.
Right, that's why I was just gonna bring it back.
I request to speak to it, Mr. Chairman, as soon as I can get.
Supervisor Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm a little torn with this, and I think the resolution is proper to bring forward before the board, certainly, but I do think it's a little premature. As we're all aware, this has been accepted by the United States Supreme Court for disposition. And I would like to certainly wait until their decision is made before we as a body address this issue. I can't predict how that court will come out, but I kind of lean towards supporting a nonpartisan body to do these districts, but I think it's wise for this body to wait until that decision is made. So I would ask the sponsor of this to pull it if they choose not to, and with that, of course, bring it back at a later date. But if they choose not to, I simply can't support it based on what I've just said. Wait for the courts to decide and play it out, and then we'll go from there.
Supervisor Olson?
Thank you. I agree with Supervisor Farley. That case, in fact, was in front of the Supreme Court, if not today, then yesterday, and Wisconsin, in fact, was the lead defendant in that case. So I think we should wait and see how it evolves.
Supervisor Knitsky?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just wondering, line 27, and Mr. Arley touched on it, how do you arrive at a nonpartisan committee? How do you select that? And I've yet to really see one.
Supervisor Wingren?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think that this really has anything to do with the Supreme Court taking the case of Wisconsin, because this has to do with a theory that we should use a nonpartisan procedure, whatever that is, a commission, independent, whatever, to draw up legislative districts following the 2020 census. And I don't think it is too early to think about that as a goal, at least for even this body. This body needs to redraw districts. And we do it in a nonpartisan fashion here. And then the state uses that to form state assembly, state senate, congressional districts, and so on. So I think this is a good idea. It's just saying we want to do it in a fair way and then come up with a way to do that. We got plenty of time to figure out what that is.
Supervisor Schneider?
I'd like to echo Supervisor Wingren's statements. The case that was taken up by the Supreme Court is to decide whether or not Wisconsin's districts were drawn in a partisan manner. What we are doing with this resolution is merely stating our preference for nonpartisan issues. So,
Supervisor Wojciechowski?
Yeah, I would echo that, because regardless of what the Supreme Court rules, it's still going to be drawn by the majority party. This is simply saying whether or not it's found wrong or not, it still should be done in a nonpartisan way. So that's why I think we should do it now instead of waiting till they decide on it.
Supervisor Gordon?
I did want to point out that on the resolutions from other counties who had one, there is one from another county. I believe 17 other counties have already passed this resolution, so saying they support nonpartisan redistricting within the state. It has nothing to do with the Supreme Court. It's just the fact that I would like us to say we want nonpartisan redistricting come 2020. It's just in support of that. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
No.
Ayes have it.
No, it's
Huh?
a 3/4 vote, Mr. Chairman. You've got to have a...
Okay, I will.
think I can do anything now. Oh, yeah, go ahead. You can read that. Supervisor Ellis? There we go.
That is passed. Oh, okay.
It's,
Well,
the
that's all.
machine configures it based on who's here. It doesn't do it by memberships. So that is,
Yes, no?
Resolution 1. No. He said it's a total of 3/4 of membership. Our new fancy expensive machine doesn't always program it right. Resolution number 16.
On the previous vote, is it 3/4 of the membership or 3/4 of those present?
It's 3/4 of the membership.
Okay, I don't know if you announced this or not, but is Nancy Barker a member of the board anymore?
No.
We never announced that, so does that affect the number?
No.
Why not?
It's just one less. I mean,
Well,
you
obviously that figure.
you went from 36 to 25, and 23 is still less than 3/4 of 35.
no, the machine.
Did not pass.
Resolution 166, 2017. First of all, Paul, see what you created with the point of order constantly all the time? Resolution number 166, 2017, support agreement between Winnebago County and the CGI Communications Incorporated for development of a Winnebago County showcase video program. Supervisor Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Make a motion to approve Resolution 160-6217. This is a follow-up from me and Supervisor Launchar going to the NACO annual conference. We were introduced first by a booth they had, and then we also went to a little seminar they had. I want to repeat, this is totally free. They would do it whether or not they get sponsors from our area or not. What they do is they make a mandatory of 4 and up to 8 videos. Videos, I think you have to include, I know, recreation, education, business, and one other I don't remember. And they'll make up to 4 more. They have, it takes 12 to 14 weeks to make these videos and edit them. What they do is they'll come to the county, there's a sample letter, they'll meet with people to find who we think they could solicit to sponsor the videos. It's, I think, the best time to get it approved, have the county executive sign it, send it off to them, because it's the summertime and this is the best time to show off various things. Like I say, totally free. We can put on these videos wherever we want. We can have a spokesman, like the chairman or the county executive, or anybody you want. The one video in the summer they highlighted was from someplace in Utah, I think southern Utah. They highlighted their university. You can do whatever you want. Also a part of this, they have this program where you can make instant videos, which I think the Parks Department and other departments could use. Like I say, it's a good thing to do. I've been on the county executive's back for years about how to promote our county and what we do, and we can do it on our website. Sue, were you able to pull up? I asked Sue if you can. There are 4 counties who have this right now. Dunn County, Ozaki County, I can't remember the other 2. And you can see example on their homepage of what it does. It's called a welcome video.
Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we're going down the slippery slope. Mr. Harris sort of warned us of that early. The idea of advertising with this leads me to be somewhat uncomfortable. I wouldn't favor this at this time.
Supervisor Eisen.
I move that we refer this to the Information Systems Committee. Give them an opportunity to check out the advertising element and to contact with the other successful counties that have installed this and to report back to the board and consider it at that time. I think this is probably something that needs a little bit thought, and the thought is done in the committee.
Okay. So far, it's died for a lack of a second. Okay. Supervisor Shirk on discussion of it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for a point of information, the city of Neenah has had an agreement with CGI for many years, and I don't know if we still do today, but we did for many years, and it was an excellent opportunity. They require no advertising. They just contact local businesses, and typically businesses would call me as the mayor and say, well, is this legitimate? And as long as I said, yeah, and so I think we had 8 separate videos that you could click on, and they were all informational. We picked them. You could revise them anytime you wanted to, and so it was an excellent tool for our local community and our local businesses.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Gordon.
I just wanted to say, Sue, thank you for sending the link today. I did check it out. The only advertisement I could see was a little tiny box, and I believe it was a dentist, and it was Ozaki County. It was not intrusive in any way, shape, or form, so.
It's not working right now, sorry.
Supervisor Lautenschlager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Supervisor Schreck. They go out and they do the soliciting for the advertisement. The county does nothing with the advertising, whatever. And so like Supervisor Orton said, this is all free. We went to a seminar and it's no cost and it's done very well in these other counties that are doing it right now.
Supervisor Finch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the beginning, I was kind of against it, but after talking to Supervisor Norton and just now Executive Mark Harris, where else can we get free, better advertisement for Winnebago County? So I'm going to support this and hope that it goes the right way because it's good free advertisement for Winnebago County. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a motion to refer it back to the IS committee. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? No. Okay, we'll vote by our little iPad.
David, no one, won't you believe me?
That failed. Now back to the original one. We'll vote by our iPad. That passed. Resolution 161-6/2017. Advocate against the use of practice of conversion therapy to minors within Winnebago County. Supervisor Wojciechowski.
Chairman, I move for the approval of resolution number 161-62017. I would just kind of echo the 2 individuals that came in today to speak on this. Representative Amanda Stuck and other people have brought this bill forward in the state legislature, and this was kind of a way to, advocate them to go forward with this. It does say Winnebago County, but it really should say Wisconsin as a whole. I mean, it does encompass Winnebago County, but the goal is to advocate to the state of Wisconsin. I believe it says that in the actual resolution.
Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you. My only problem with this is line 10. I don't believe it's proper for this board to call something immoral. Is it our job to decide what's moral and immoral? I don't think so. So if you, well, that's different. This might be wrong, but anyway, if you can remove the word immoral, I'd support it.
Supervisor Eisen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to see the health board sound on this issue and get a recommendation from the physician chairman there and the health board members before we take issue with this at this time. So I would refer it back to the Board of Health.
It's been moved and seconded to refer it back to the Health Department. We'll vote by our little iPad. You're referring it to the Health Department. Sure. Supervisor Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the concerns I have is I don't know anything about this, so I either could vote no or abstain. But let me ask this question. This refers to individuals that are under minors, I believe. When is this applied to minors and who's doing it? Law enforcement? Sir? Who's doing this practice?
Parents, relatives, clergy.
Have to push in.
Clergy?
Supervisor Wojciechowski.
It should, I don't know if it states it exactly in the resolution. It should describe what the actual practice is, usually done by physicians or different health people in that field. And most of the time, it's done to minors because obviously once they're 18, I don't think they'd want to do that to themselves. But yeah, it's usually done through a health facility, and it is done within Wisconsin. It's legal to do that, and within the United States.
So are these psychiatrists that are doing it? Medical doctors?
It's either or. So there's different forms of conversion therapy. Sometimes it's psychological, sometimes it's physical. There's a wide variation of it.
Whoa, aren't we getting into a can of worms here? I mean, you're getting into medical practices and that kind of thing?
Well, this is just simply advocating, saying that we agree with the state going forward with this. This isn't saying Winnebago County is going to outlaw this or do anything of the sort. It's
I understand, yeah. This is another, that's where it requires a 3/4 vote.
Yeah.
It's a legislative issue. I agree with Mr. Eisen. I think we ought to refer it back. Apparently, the health department, I assume, could give far more clarity to this. I would certainly appreciate that.
Supervisor Powers on referring it back.
No, I don't think it was going to be about referring it back.
Supervisor Egan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you refer this back to the Health Department, they for sure will not probably be meeting unless it's a special meeting until at least August. So you're going to be looking at least 2 months before they'll even discuss it. So if you want to wait that long, that's up to this board, but I don't know. But August is their next one that they're going to have.
Supervisor Olson.
I wanted to explain in detail what conversion therapy was. According to Wikipedia, conversion therapy is a psychological treatment or spiritual counseling designed to change a person's sexual orientation from homosexual or bisexual to heterosexual. Such treatments are controversial and are a form of pseudoscience. Medical, scientific, and government organizations in the U.S. have expressed concern over conversion therapy and consider it potentially harmful. That's all I'm going to read.
Huh, that's kind of what I was looking for. Thanks.
That's why That's what I thought.
Okay, we'll vote on our iPad about referring it back. Vote aye if you want to refer it back, no if you don't. Pardon? You're voting it on referring it back to the Health Department.
Wait a minute, Mr. Chairman. To forego that, I'll withdraw my second. I second.
If he withdraws his second, it may die for lack.
Right, I withdraw my second. I'll second it. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now Supervisor Winston seconded.
Okay,
All right, so we're still.
continue voting.
Referring it back.
Right.
Referring it to. I never had it.
What are we voting on?
You're voting on to refer it back.
Dave, you gotta vote.
I did.
So that lost.
That lost. Okay, now back to the original resolution. Now we'll vote on it.
This is a three-quarters vote.
This is a three-quarters vote.
Oops, sorry. That failed.
Huh?
That also failed.
That also failed.
Three-quarter vote of the membership.
You needed a three-quarter vote
Of the membership.
of the membership. Resolution 162, 6/2017. Encourage Affirmative Action Commission and Personnel and Finance Committee to include gender identity in the current and next Winnebago County Affirmative Action Plan. Supervisor Wojciechowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of resolution number 162-62017.
Second.
Just to talk briefly on this one, for those of you who don't know, Winnebago County uses both the Affirmative Action Plan and the Civil Rights Plan. Those are used throughout the county as different rules and stuff to conduct with hiring people and workplace protections. And it has a whole list of things set out. And I talked to, I can't remember his name, but the person who essentially creates it and then sends it to the various committees to vote on it. And he said he's waiting for data to come in to create a new version, and then that'll eventually go to the committees. What this is doing is essentially just encouraging himself and the other committees to include this if he doesn't already plan to do that. So I'm hoping that we can encourage whoever's in charge of this to include this into the actual resolution, or the actual new plan when it comes forward.
Supervisor Power. Supervisor Powers.
I had hit to speak on the last one, and we didn't speak on it, so I'm off of that.
Supervisor Smith.
Yes, I have a problem with this gender identity thing. And the reason being is that it's pretty well been defined, homosexual, heterosexual, bisexual. The identity gender identity seems to be something that's just coming up recently within the last 5 or 6 years. And there's a lot of problems with that, because if somebody decides one day that physically and biologically they're a male, but decides they're a woman, they can change that identity, come in the next day and say, well, I feel like a woman and I want to use the women's facilities. there is a problem with that, and is how do you exactly determine if that person's gender identity is legitimate, or if they're just playing games? I don't like this. I think we leave it up to, so I will definitely vote against this.
Supervisor Eisen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think that we have an affirmative action board commission, and I believe we should refer this to the affirmative action board, since they are ultimately the ones that have to consider the affirmative action plan and then deliver it to the county board. So it's most appropriate that board or committee consider this.
I will second it. Been moved and seconded. Supervisor Wojciechowski on referring it to the committee.
I think that might be a little silly for them to vote on a bill to encourage themselves to do this. I think what this is simply saying is just, we encourage you to do this, whether or not, if this passed, they could still say, no, we don't want to do this. It's just simply saying that we want this in there. Regardless if it passes or not, whoever's in charge of it could still put it in. This is more symbolic of nature.
Supervisor Powers?
No, it wasn't about transferring it, it was something else.
Supervisor Gordon?
Also, it was about something else.
Okay, we'll vote by our little pad. Yes.
So that passed.
That passed. Resolution 163-6/2017, authorized payment of excess committee days, April 1st, 2016 through March 31st, 2017. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for resolution number 163/6/2017.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Carried. 1 no. Resolution 164-6/2017, request sheriff to read Declaration of Independence on courthouse steps on July 4th, 2017. Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of Resolution 164-6/2017, and invite all of you to attend this event if it's approved at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, July 4th, on the steps of the courthouse in the front.
All in favor?
I prefer 8 p.m. myself.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Resolution 165-6/2017, authorize Winnebago County to grant to Wisconsin Public Service Corporation a permanent easement on a parcel of land located at the site of Winnebago County Sheriff's Department for the purpose of installing and maintaining and replacing any necessary under and above ground telecommunication and other prudent equipment. Supervisor Egan.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the approval of resolution number 165-62017.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Supervisor Konitsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we adjourn until July 18th at 6 p.m.
We are adjourned.